Chapter 2688. Boom! Everyone's head seemed to have been hit by something. They were in a daze and couldn't believe what they had seen. How was that possible? Ling Xiao actually managed to injure General Purple Thunder again? And it looked so easy? Why? It should be noted that when General Purple Thunder's strength rose to the peak of the 11th level, everyone present thought that Ling Xiao would be easily killed by General Purple Thunder. Even Xiao Jin had the same thought. He even wanted to help Ling Xiao even if he got hurt. However, Ling Xiao didn't get excited at all. He still looked so calm. Then he used this sharp sword strike, using this direct observation to tell everyone, and also shocked everyone. It pierced General Purple Thunder's body. General Blue Thunder was also stunned. Ling Xiao's sword pierced General Purple Thunder's body. What was going on? Commander! He shouted loudly. He was going to help General Purple Thunder. But this time he was stopped by Xiao Jin. He had been confident in General Purple Thunder and thought that Ling Xiao couldn't hurt General Purple Thunder at all. He even thought that Ling Xiao would die when General Purple Thunder's strength soared. But the reality slapped him hard in the face. He stopped Xiao Jin before. Now, it was Xiao Jin's turn to stop him. As for the remaining members of the three great clans, the smiles on their faces became extremely awkward. It was as if glue had solidified, making them look extremely ugly. No one understood. Why was it like this? How could it be like this? Ah! General Purple Thunder looked at the long sword in his chest. His hair, which had been tied up, was instantly untied. He roared angrily. At that moment, his body seemed to have become a thunderous rage. The horrible aura of destruction was expanding rapidly. Die! Go to hell! Go to hell! Go to hell! General Purple Thunder roared crazily. The energy released from his body rushed toward Ling Xiao crazily. It was too close for Ling Xiao to dodge, but he still had layers of defense. Spiritual Thunder Shield. Great perfection. A defensive shield made of interwoven lightning appeared in front of him. However, even so, the terrifying power still shattered the lightning spirit shield and ruthlessly slammed into Ling Xiao's body. Fortunately, after being weakened, its power was no longer that great. However, Ling Xiao could still hear the sound of his bones breaking. He spat out a mouthful of blood and his body was sent flying. General Purple Thunder had already gone mad. He could not let Ling Xiao have any chance to make a comeback. After releasing the terrifying energy, General Purple Thunder took a step forward and caught up with Ling Xiao. Then he punched out with both fists. It smashed heavily onto Ling Xiao's body. He smashed Ling Xiao, causing blood to spurt out from his mouth again. Kill! 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 General Purple Thunder was obviously irritated. Ling Xiao had actually pierced his body with a sword when his strength had skyrocketed. This was simply a great humiliation. If he hadn't avoided the attack at the critical moment, he would have been dead by now. This humiliation that he had never experienced before drove him completely crazy. He seemed to have turned into the god of slaughter on the battlefield, determined to destroy Ling Xiao completely. He wanted to destroy everything in front of him. Boss! All of a sudden, Little Gold dashed over. Little Gold dashed over, even though General Blue Thunder had hit him. He would rather die than let his boss, Ling Xiao, die. The golden light from the Hades underworld dashed toward General Purple Thunder. The golden light gave General Purple Thunder a sense of danger. He wanted to kill Ling Xiao as soon as possible, but he didn't want to be injured. Seeing that Ling Xiao was no longer able to fight back, General Purple Thunder thought to himself, "You're going to die anyway. There's nothing you can do now. So I'll kill your battle pet first, and then I'll kill you." He dashed toward Little Gold in fury. The man and the beast began to fight in the sky. Little Gold had been injured by General Blue Thunder, but it was a body formed by devouring the demon fetus, after all. It was still strong. Little Gold was at a disadvantage in the battle against General Purple Thunder, but it wouldn't lose any time soon. Ling Xiao narrowed his eyes and looked at the battle in the sky. He didn't say anything. Little Gold had bought him some time at the risk of being injured. He had to make good use of it. General Purple Thunder's series of attacks had indeed given him a hard time, but it hadn't hurt him at all. Instead, it had opened up a channel for him to make a breakthrough. This would allow him to smoothly advance his cultivation. Once he made a breakthrough, he would be able to replace Little Gold and finish the battle. Behind him, the life martial spirit kept releasing healing light of life. On the other hand, the blood spirit pill could speed up the recovery of his body's exhaustion and damage. With the two-pronged approach, his cultivation increased very quickly. While his body was healing, his cultivation level was increasing. General Purple Thunder seemed to have noticed Ling Xiao's abnormality. He shouted at General Blue Thunder, "Kill him! Kill that guy! He's making a breakthrough!" He didn't know when it started, but General Purple Thunder had developed a deep fear of Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao's cultivation level in the 10th level of hell had already made him suffer. Once he made a breakthrough to the 11th level of hell, how powerful would he be? He wouldn't allow that to happen. But at this moment, he couldn't defeat Little Gold quickly, so he shouted at General Blue Thunder. General Blue Thunder wasn't the only one who heard his shout. The remaining 20,000 people of the three big families also heard it. They stood up like bloodthirsty demons. Their eyes were full of hatred. Then they rushed toward Ling Xiao. This was their chance, their only chance. Only by taking advantage of this opportunity could they take revenge and kill Ling Xiao. Otherwise, if they missed this chance, they wouldn't have another chance. "Boss!" Little Gold panicked again. A terrifying aura was released from his body. He's burning his life force. That battle pet is so close to Ling Xiao. Little Gold is burning his life force to help Ling Xiao. Anyone with a discerning eye could see that. Little Gold was going to risk his life. He had to protect Ling Xiao even if he had to burn his life force. "Little Gold, stop it!" Ling Xiao had made up his mind. He was going to use his last resort. He was going to release the butterfly lady's soul and the dominating martial spirit. He wouldn't let Little Gold die, even if he had to become the enemy of the entire world. Burning life force was a special skill that all beasts could use, but it could only be used once in their lives. Also, the life force that was burned could never be recovered. To Xiao Jin, this was definitely a terrifying choice with no way out. Since that was the case, Ling Xiao had nothing to hide. He was going to fight. He was going to do it. He was going to do it because Little Gold was willing to risk his life for him. Chapter 2689. Little Gold was still burning its life force. At the same time, its strength was surging. Even General Purple Thunder could feel the immense threat. However, Xiao Jin gave up on him and spat out a terrifying golden light toward the ground. Those who attacked Ling Xiao were killed one by one. More than 20,000 people were instantly reduced to 10,000. However, what Little Gold did gave General Purple Thunder a chance. Even if it was burning its life force, Little Gold's combat strength was only on par with General Purple Thunder's. General Purple Thunder attacked Little Gold from behind and punched it to the ground. It was obvious that Little Gold was in great pain. Still, it flapped its wings and stood up, letting out a loud cry that echoed throughout the entire Thunder City. What a loyal and powerful battle pet. But it's a pity that it can't be saved if it burns its life force for more than 10 minutes. It can be saved within 10 minutes. But who can save it at this moment? The demon dragon heaved a sigh in the crowd. He thought highly of Ling Xiao and Little Gold. Even though Ling Xiao had killed Watano Yuan and the people of the dragon cult, he still believed that Ling Xiao was a worthy opponent. Unfortunately, the man and the beast were both going to die here today. I said stop. All of a sudden, a huge gate of hell opened above Ling Xiao's head. The energy of the 11th floor of hell was fully released. At that moment, Ling Xiao smashed General Blue Thunder away and then charged toward General Purple Thunder. Boom! The two of them fought in the air again. This time, both of them stepped back at the same time. However, Ling Xiao still had a chance to put little gold back into the beast ring while he was stepping back. 7 minutes? Good. Looking at the time, Ling Xiao let out a sigh of relief. Little gold turned back into a palm-sized bird after it went back into the beast ring. Right now, he appeared extremely weak, like a dying little sparrow. Boss, I'm so useless. I couldn't defeat General Purple Thunder. Little Gold forced a smile. Nonsense. Ling Xiao said very sternly. I'm telling you, if you do something like this again in the future, we don't have to be brothers anymore. Although his words were harsh, Ling Xiao was incomparably touched. He had a lot of friends, but not many of them could go through life and death with him. Xiao Jin, also known as Ling Yan, was obviously one of them. In one's life, reaching the peak of martial arts was considered an achievement, and having a few more friends like Xiao Jin was also an incomparably luxurious achievement. If you can sacrifice yourself to protect your brother, then you should protect him for the rest of your life. Don't worry, brother. You sacrificed your life for me, so how can I not avenge you? Originally, I only wanted to escape, but today General Zi Lei must die. Ling Xiao's eyes suddenly turned blood red. Within his body, a terrifying and cruel aura was released. This kind of cruelty was only seen when he slaughtered millions of enemy soldiers to avenge his two friends. Something seemed to be awakening in his body. In the Tyrant universe, above the Sun God constellation, the third star began to gradually brighten. Ling Xiao knew that something would happen. This third star meant that the Sun God divine ability would awaken a third type. What would it be? If it awakened at this time, it would definitely be extraordinary. The previous Earth-crossing golden light technique and bloodthirsty rat plague were extremely powerful and terrifying. Then this third type of divine ability would definitely not be weaker than these two. Ling Xiao was looking forward to it. Awakening, bloody rat devil. These words suddenly appeared in Ling Xiao's mind. At that moment, Ling Xiao discovered that his body was beginning to change. The original purple lightning bull beast soul transformation was forcibly terminated, and a new set of bloody armor covered his body. His entire body was emitting an aura of death and despair, as if he wanted to completely destroy the entire world. This power, so strong, I feel that it's even stronger than the butterfly lady's soul. The current butterfly lady's soul can at most raise my battle strength by a small realm, but this kind of power can directly allow me to reach the peak of a realm. Right now, my cultivation has just broken through the early stage of the 11th level of the Yin-Yang realm. With this kind of strength, although I won't be as passive as before when fighting General Purple Thunder, I definitely won't be able to end the battle quickly. If this drags on for too long, there will definitely be changes. But if it's the peak of the 11th level of the hell, what will the result be? Ling Xiao's face revealed a bright smile. This battle could finally be completely over. His battle strength had soared to the peak of the 11th level of the hell, which was equivalent to being much stronger than General Purple Thunder. After all, his basic battle strength was even more terrifying. So with the same cultivation, he was naturally stronger than his opponent. However, the Bloody Rat Devil's increase had a certain flaw. Right now, his strength had increased to the peak of the 11th level of the hell. After the battle ended, Ling Xiao, who had returned to his original form, would not only lose the increase in cultivation, he would also have to pay the price of a decrease in cultivation. This decrease in cultivation was directly proportional to the increase in cultivation. Ling Xiao had increased from the early stage of the 11th level of the hell to the peak of the 11th level of the hell by a total of 3 small realms. Then the decrease in cultivation was also 3 small realms. In other words, after this battle, his cultivation would fall to the middle stage of the 10th level of the hell in the first turn of the Yin-Yang realm. But so what? With the experience of a breakthrough and the powerful potential in his body, if Ling Xiao wanted to recover his cultivation, he would not need much time. This was also his advantage. So this bloody rat devil might be very dangerous to others, But to him it was nothing. His good brother Xiao Jin was willing to give up his life for him. The price he paid was just a decrease in cultivation. What was there to be afraid of? Of course, this bloody rat devil was not a righteous person after all. If he could avoid it, he would try not to use it in the future, unless he encountered a critical situation like today. Otherwise, it would not feel good to have a decrease in cultivation every time. Boss, how on earth did you do it? Xiao Jin looked at Ling Xiao, whose strength had skyrocketed in surprise. I'll tell you later. Your task now is to have a good rest. Don't worry about anything else. I'll use the blood of these people to seek justice for you. Ling Xiao smiled, cut off the conversation with Xiao Jin, and then looked at General Purple Thunder. He looked at all the people who had just tried to sneak up on him. If it were not for these people, Xiao Jin would not have burned his life. Although he could recover in 10 minutes, it would take at least half a month to recover. During this time, Xiao Jin would be in a coma. Who knew what would happen during this period of unconsciousness? Ling Xiao could not forgive these people. At first, I decided to escape, but now I plan to kill all of you. Chapter 2690. I want all of you to die. Ling Xiao's words sounded very calm, but these words made everyone's heart tremble, especially when they saw Ling Xiao's scarlet eyes and that scarlet armor, which was as ferocious as a demon's. Everyone stared fixedly at Ling Xiao. That scarlet energy and terrifying killing intent filled the entire space. Everyone could feel the fear in the depths of their hearts. Ling Xiao's killing intent rose to the extreme. He no longer controlled himself, no longer wronged himself, especially when he saw Little Gold unconscious because of saving him. He was completely enraged. The remaining members of the 3 great clans looked at Ling Xiao in horror, not even daring to look directly at his eyes. Their legs trembled. They clearly wanted to retreat, but they found that their legs seemed to be filled with lead, unable to move at all. General Purple Thunder also looked at this youth with abnormal astonishment. He was clearly a guy he could have killed before, but now he had a terrifying aura comparable to his. No, perhaps he was even more terrifying than him. Could it be that he was also burning his life? Other than burning his life, he couldn't think of any other possibility. No matter what you do, don't think you can escape from this general's hands again. General Purple Thunder looked coldly at Ling Xiao. Although he was still condescending, he didn't have the arrogance from before, because he knew very well that the current Ling Xiao was several times stronger than before. He definitely couldn't kill him easily. He had already missed the best opportunity. It was all that damned golden bird's fault. Escape? Don't worry, I won't escape. If I don't kill you, how can I escape? Ling Xiao looked coldly at General Purple Thunder. He was now only considering how to kill this guy in a more shocking manner. General Purple Thunder? Today, I'll let you be struck to death by lightning. I'll let your corpse fill the air with a burnt smell. Ling Xiao's cold and sinister voice made everyone's heart tremble violently. A cold chill flowed down their backs, and a feeling of horror constantly gushed out from their bones. Shameless boasting! General Purple Thunder shouted loudly. You are as stupid as that golden bird! Although burning one's life force could temporarily increase one's combat strength, it wouldn't last for long. I'll kill you in 10 minutes. Really? Go ahead and try. Ling Xiao crooked his finger at General Purple Thunder and said, Come on, I will let you know the huge gap between you and me. General Purple Thunder didn't attack. This was because he wasn't clear about Ling Xiao's situation. He really didn't know what Ling Xiao's current strength was. At this moment, whoever made the first move would be the first to reveal a flaw. That was what he thought. Cowardly rat! If you're not going to make a move, then I'll go first. Ling Xiao sneered. His figure suddenly flashed. His speed was so fast that no one could keep up with him, including General Purple Thunder. He had mocked Ling Xiao's speed before, because Ling Xiao was indeed fast, but still couldn't keep up with him. But at this moment he was stunned because Ling Xiao's speed had completely overshadowed his. Even his eyesight couldn't keep up. Oh no! General Purple Thunder felt something was wrong. He knew he couldn't continue to wait for death. Terrifying purple thunder burst out from his body. Then his body was wrapped in a huge phantom of the Thunder God. This phantom of the Thunder God had 3 heads and 6 arms. Facing 3 directions, the 6 arms defended 6 directions at the same time. He couldn't give Ling Xiao any chance to attack him, because he had already tasted the pain of being pierced by Ling Xiao's sword. At that time, Ling Xiao's aura wasn't so strong. Now, Ling Xiao could only be more terrifying. Thunder God Dharma Laksana, 3 heads and 6 arms, endless purple thunder halberd. With the formation of 3 heads and 6 arms, countless purple thunder halberds were released from the 6 arms and shot in all directions. In this way, even if his speed was not as fast as Ling Xiao's, he could make the perfect defense. At this moment, the surrounding space seemed to be completely covered by purple thunder and lightning, becoming General Purple Thunder's own world. His originally somewhat panicked mood instantly calmed down. Under such circumstances, how could he possibly lose? Do you think this move of yours is very strong? Ling Xiao's voice suddenly came from General Purple Thunder's ear. How ridiculous! This voice terrified General Purple Thunder to the extreme, because he didn't see where Ling Xiao was at all. Don't look for him. Now, you and I are no longer on the same level as warriors. Since I can't kill you with 1 strike, I'll let you taste a few more strikes. I'd like to see how long you can hold on. As soon as this voice ended, General Purple Thunder suddenly felt a piercing pain from his right arm. Not only was it painful, but there was also an incomprehensible feeling of paralysis caused by thunder and lightning. He had the Purple Thunder martial soul. How could he be paralyzed by thunder and lightning? He wanted to figure out what was going on. He wanted to resist with his right hand, but he found that his right arm couldn't move. It's not over yet. Ling Xiao's figure suddenly appeared in the void. What everyone saw was a blood-red shadow. This shadow had a sword in his hand, which looked like a flying dragon carved from white jade. Ling Xiao used the white jade flying dragon sword because he had the strength to crush his opponent. The reason why he didn't kill his opponent immediately was to torture him. He wanted him to feel the greatest pain in the world before he died. Go to hell! General Purple Thunder saw this blood-red shadow. He operated his internal strength in his left fist and punched out crazily. What are you doing? Are you kidding me? Why are you so slow? Ling Xiao looked at General Purple Thunder sarcastically and stabbed out the white jade flying dragon sword again. The sword was wrapped in blood-red thunder. Ah! Another blood-curdling scream came from General Purple Thunder's mouth. His entire left arm had been pierced by the lightning and was charred black. The air was filled with the smell of burnt flesh. Impossible! General Purple Thunder was really hurt by the thunder and lightning? What kind of thunder is that? Blood thunder, thunder of death, thunder of hell, thunder of the underworld. It can't be wrong. It must be. I felt strange just now. How could Ling Xiao's top-level thunder and lightning body be blood-red? Now I understand. This is the most difficult type of thunder and lightning to deal with. General Purple Thunder's purple thunder can't compete with it at all. Is this why Ling Xiao's sudden attack could penetrate General Purple Thunder's body? There were naturally smart people in the crowd. The state of Qin never lacked experts. It was just that some people were very low-key. At this moment, there was one more person beside Ambassador Mo Long. It was a handsome young man in his 20s or 30s. Chapter 2691. Sect Leader. Don't call me Sect Leader. Just call me Young Master here. The young man said faintly. Yes, Young Master. You reported that a peerless genius was found here. Could it be that person? The young man asked. That's right. His name is Ling Xiao, Ling Yan's brother. Since Ling Yan can join our dragon cult, he can too. Almost everyone in our dragon cult has an irreconcilable feud with the Chen Kingdom's royal family. Ling Xiao is the same. He's a genius. If we can recruit him, he'll be a great help to the defeated Chen Kingdom in the future. The Demon Dragon envoy reported, "If he can kill General Purple Thunder, I'll personally take him to the dragon cult." The young man glanced at Ling Xiao faintly, then turned and disappeared. It was as if he wasn't interested in such a battle. However, the Demon Dragon envoy knew that his sect leader cherished talents. Otherwise, he wouldn't have said that. On the battlefield, the battle seemed to be coming to an end. Ling Xiao, who was extremely fast, was like a blood-type demon holding a sword. In front of him, General Purple Thunder had no ability to resist. He could only let him continue to attack. His 2 arms were crippled. Ling Xiao's attack didn't stop. His anger was still gushing out. The third sword, Puchi, the white jade flying dragon sword in his hand, directly pierced General Purple Thunder's left leg. Terrifying blood lightning raged in General Purple Thunder's left leg. After a while, General Purple Thunder's earth-shattering scream was heard. His left leg was also charred. "You said that I couldn't hurt you with lightning, but now I'm doing it. Aren't you very emotional? Aren't you very scared? Actually, you didn't have to do this. If you let us go, you wouldn't be in such a miserable state now. You brought all of this upon yourself." Puchi, the 4th sword pierced through General Purple Thunder's right leg. A burnt smell spread in the air. General Purple Thunder's 2 arms and 2 legs were crippled. Now he was like a human swine. "Kill me. Give me a quick death." General Zi Lei shouted. "Are you begging me?" Ling Xiao's voice was eerie and cold. At this moment, he was more like a villain. General Purple Thunder, on the other hand, was more like a pitiful person who was being tortured. However, those who knew the cause and effect did not utter a word at this moment. They knew very well that Ling Xiao's cruelty was justified. "Stop what you're doing, you traitor. Do you really want to bear the wrath of the Lightning Emperor?" Suddenly, a voice came from afar. However, it wasn't a real person. It was just a clone. It was a shadow created by soul power and true energy. "Qin Songxiong?" Ling Xiao turned his head to look at the shadow and said disdainfully, "If you came here personally, I might consider it, but you're just a shadow and you want to show off in front of me? Ridiculous. Ling Xiao, listen to me. Release General Zi Lei immediately and surrender obediently. Otherwise, I'll kill you even if I have to chase you to the ends of the earth." Chen Songxiong's voice was cold and filled with arrogance. What a boring, self-righteous fellow. Ling Xiao raised his hand, and a burst of energy broke through the air. The shadow was instantly shattered and shattered. "Before you worry about him, you should worry about the royal family of the Chen nation first." Ling Xiao sneered disdainfully and stabbed General Zi Lei with his sword again. He knew very well in his heart, General Zi Lei's death in battle would definitely cause chaos in Thunder City. After all, General Zi Lei was the 4th most powerful person in the Qin nation. Now that he was dead, the dragon cult would definitely do something. In addition, the tens of thousands of people from the 3 great clans had been killed by Ling Xiao and Little Gold. Only a little more than 10,000 people were left. Thunder City's combat strength would also be greatly reduced. Thunder City's defensive array formation had also been broken by Yuan Venerate. The dragon cult would be too stupid not to take advantage of this opportunity to launch a surprise attack. Ling Xiao didn't like the dragon cult either. However, the dragon cult was definitely his best helper right now. In the sky, in front of everyone, General Zi Lei's blood-curdling screams kept ringing out. Some of the martialists from the 3 great clans were so frightened that they lost control of their bowels and urine. It was unknown how terrified they were. By the time General Zi Lei screamed for the 10th time, his voice had already become very weak. His throat had finally been torn apart by Ling Xiao. His entire body had been charred black by the blood lightning. Ling Xiao was a man of his word. Not only had he used extremely cruel methods to kill General Zile, but he had also charred him black with lightning. Everyone was scared witless when they saw this scene. The remaining members of the three great clans even let out hysterical screams of horror. General Zile, the fourth most powerful person in the Qin nation, had actually died at the hands of Ling Xiao. This was no longer a miracle. It was a true miracle. He actually succeeded. He created a miracle. Countless people in the crowd were dumbfounded. Although General Purple Thunder had only been left with the fate of being tortured, it was only at this moment that they suddenly understood. A miracle had been born in the Qin nation. Ling Xiao's name would definitely become the most terrifying name in the entire Qin nation. Countless people would probably tremble in fear at the mention of him. It's not over yet. Ling Xiao had devoured General Zile's Purple Thunder martial soul and stored all its potential in the cells of the Emperor Heaven Earth Empress. After this battle, his cultivation would drop when he returned to his original body. This potential would definitely allow him to recover his cultivation faster. After doing all this, he looked down at the remaining members of the three great clans, his eyes filled with killing intent. As he spoke, he released a new round of the bloodthirsty plague. Due to the explosive increase in his strength, the power of the bloodthirsty plague had also become even more terrifying. This included General Zile. More than 10,000 people were completely devoured by the plague in a short minute. The energy that the plague had transferred to Ling Xiao was also stored in the cells, waiting for Ling Xiao to rise again. The three great clans were completely destroyed. Because of Ling Xiao, the 7 generals of the Sky Thunder Legion were all killed. Because of Ling Xiao, the 3 great clans were completely annihilated. In this world, there would no longer be any Boy Clan, Gu Clan, or Pineapple Clan. They would pay a disastrous price for their wrong choice. After experiencing a massacre, Ling Xiao's eyes gradually returned to normal. The bloodthirsty rat was too terrifying. Not only did his fighting strength soar, but his killing intent also became even more terrifying. In the entire Qin nation, who could be mentioned in the same breath as Ling Xiao now, whether it was the younger generation or the older generation, apart from the rumored ancestors of the Qin nation, could anyone suppress this youth, including the Lightning Emperor? As for those old ancestors of the Qin kingdom, it was not certain if they really existed. Could it be that Ling Xiao was able to wipe out the entire royal family by himself? Such guesses and discussions quickly spread throughout Thunder City. However, only Ling Xiao himself knew. It was time for him to leave. Chapter 2692. The Bloody Devil Rat gave Ling Xiao a temporary boost in strength, but at the same time, it put a huge burden on him. He now had to rely on pills to maintain his internal energy. If he didn't leave now, he would really be out of luck. Moreover, he believed that the state of Qin couldn't possibly only have so few experts. Otherwise, how could they resist the dragon cult's attack? It was rumored that the state of Qin had 5 ancestors cultivating in seclusion. Therefore, he had to leave quickly. Fortunately, the dragon cult had already begun their attack. The flames of war that had been ignited everywhere in Thunder City were the most obvious. Moreover, until now, no reinforcements had come to deal with him. This meant that the royal family of the state of Qin was already too busy to fend for themselves. If you've really been destroyed by the dragon cult, then it'll save me a lot of trouble. If not, I'll definitely come back. Ling Xiao took a deep look at Thunder City. He was very satisfied with the result of this trip. This guy is too strong. He really makes my generation blush with shame. In the crowd, countless people had the same feeling. Ling Xiao had actually made a heaven-defying move in the face of adversity and killed the famous General Purple Thunder in one fell swoop. This was something that no one had expected. Yes, when Ling Xiao returned to the 8 Immortal City and proclaimed himself king, almost everyone thought that he was just an arrogant clown who would be killed soon. However, what happened later shocked everyone. The 7 generals of the Sky Thunder Legion all died at his hands or his subordinates' hands. He had almost single-handedly destroyed 3 of the 8 great clans. I don't dare to say anything else, but I'm afraid that his name will forever be passed down in the history of the state of Qin. Among the younger generation, even the war prince Chen Songxiong can't be compared to him. Can he escape the fate of death? The Thunder Emperor won't let him go. The war prince won't either. Naturally, there were people who respected Ling Xiao, but there were also people who felt that no matter how powerful Ling Xiao was, he couldn't be compared to the royal family. Whether it's the Thunder Emperor or the war prince, they can't even take care of themselves right now. How can they have the leisure to deal with Ling Xiao? As long as he returned to the 8 Immortal City and never came out, no one would be able to do anything to him. Unless the royal family can find an expert who can break the 10 Extremes formation, they can only wait for Ling Xiao to come out again. Looking at the smoke rising from all directions in Thunder City, some people were rejoicing in other people's misfortune. The people who lived in the inner city of Thunder City and the royal city were all nobles. No one would be wrongly killed if they were killed. On the other hand, there were some ordinary people living in the outer city. However, the dragon cult had no interest in these commoners. Instead, they went straight for the inner city. The dragon cult's propaganda was to overthrow the tyranny of the Chun clan, so they naturally wouldn't do anything to the commoners. Otherwise, it would contradict their propaganda. Of course, Ling Xiao had already quietly fled into the distance. He planned to return to the 8 Immortals City first. After wiping out 2 patriarchs and many experts of the 3 major clans, he had obtained hundreds of storage rings. Although most of the tens of thousands of people besieging him were not wearing storage rings, these hundreds of rings were more than enough, especially the storage rings of Bo Yi Yuan, Fengli clan's patriarch, and Gu Tianba, which contained a large amount of spirit stones that he urgently needed. Spirit stones were an essential material to ensure the formation's operation. If the 10 Extremes formation wanted to be effective, it required a large amount of low-grade spirit stones. This time, Ling Xiao didn't come to Thunder City just to cause trouble. Of course, he also had the idea of snatching spirit stones. Now he had achieved his goal. The low-grade spirit stones he obtained from these people were enough to maintain the 10 Extremes formation for a year. As long as he sent them back, he could be at ease and continue to travel outside. He wasn't afraid of being hunted down by the royal family. With his current strength, there weren't many people in the royal family who could pose a threat to him. After leaving the chaotic Thunder City, Ling Xiao directly returned to the 8 Immortal City. After handing the spirit stones to the people in charge of the 10 Extremes formation, he began to treat Xiao Jin's injuries. Originally, it would take at least half a month for Xiao Jin to wake up. However, with a powerful alchemist like him, this time could be shortened to 3 days. During these 3 days, Ling Xiao didn't just treat Xiao Jin's injuries. He also used the time to raise his cultivation level back to the peak of the 10th level of hell. Previously, because of the bloody demonic rat, his cultivation level had regressed to the middle stage of the 10th level of hell. Now that it had risen to the peak of the 10th level of hell, it seemed that he still needed an opportunity to recover to the 11th level of hell. However, he wasn't in a hurry. The potential in his cells was huge. As long as there was a suitable battle, he believed that he would be able to recover his cultivation level. Therefore, he planned to leave the 8 Immortal City again. Naturally, Xiao Jin would also follow him. Good brothers would go through life and death together. In addition, Xiao Jin's special way of raising his strength was very helpful to him. At this time, what Ling Xiao did in Thunder City had already spread throughout the 8 Immortal City. The martial artists of the 8 Immortal City, who were originally worried about whether their king Ling Xiao was reliable, were now full of pride and confidence. Their 8 Immortal King, Ling Xiao, actually dared to barge into the Thunder capital by himself and turn the place upside down. He had even killed General Purple Thunder, who was so famous that countless people trembled in fear upon hearing his name. It was simply a miracle. From this moment on, the martial artists here truly gave their hearts to Ling Xiao, the 8 Immortals King. The martial artists of the Heavenly Empire began to slowly infiltrate and gradually control the entire 8 immortal city. All kinds of formations were set up in all the towns. A new country had truly risen in a small border city of the Black Tortoise continent. Although it was still unknown and not favored by anyone, it wouldn't take long. The name of the 8 Immortals' kingdom would resound throughout the Western region. After the Western region, it would be the entire Black Tortoise continent. At that time, the fake name of the 8 Immortals' kingdom could be removed. The Heavenly Empire would truly stand on this continent. The soldiers and civilians of the 8 Immortals' kingdom were very excited. They all wanted to see the heroic Ling Xiao. However, Ling Xiao planned to leave at this time. The materials had been delivered and Xiao Jin had recovered. Next, he had to find a way to recover his cultivation. If he didn't go out, he definitely couldn't stay in the 8 Immortals city forever. However, just as he was about to leave, a mysterious person came to the 8 Immortals kingdom. He was the 7th prince, War Eagle, God Chen Kangmeng. Chen Kangmeng's arrival made the entire 8 Immortals city nervous. After all, the War Eagle god's reputation was not just for show. However, Chen Kangmeng did not come to capture Ling Xiao, nor to attack the 8 Immortals kingdom. He was here to deliver a message to Ling Xiao. 7th Prince, are we still friends? Ling Xiao was actually somewhat emotional, although Chen Kangmeng was definitely a person who could be friends with him. However, he had killed Chen Kangmeng's brother, Jihyun of Silla, and the 8th Prince. Chapter 2693. The royal family has no kinship. Chen Kangmeng sighed. I'm afraid you don't know what Chen Kanglin and Chen Songxiong did to get rid of me. My mother died a while ago. She was killed by Chen Kanglin's mother, the current queen. Do you think I'll come to you for revenge for her death? Hearing this, Ling Xiao suddenly felt some sympathy for this person. His own mother was killed by his brother's mother. That kind of depression of wanting to take revenge, but not being able to do so, could be imagined. It was him who unintentionally avenged Chen Kangmeng. Well, since you treat me as a friend, I'll also treat you as a friend. Tell me, what are you doing in the 8 Immortal City? Ling Xiao suddenly felt a lot better. He was very happy that he didn't have to lose such a straightforward friend. I'm here to bring you a message. Don't leave the 8 Immortal City because the chaos in Thunder City is over. It's rumored that the 5 Thunder's old ancestors have all come out of seclusion and repelled the dragon cult's demon envoys. Now, my 14th brother Chen Songxiong and the Lightning Seigneur are watching every move in the 8 Immortal City. As long as you dare to leave, they will definitely intercept and kill you. Chen Kangmeng said. Ling Xiao frowned. I didn't expect the chaos in Thunder City to end so quickly. It's only been 3 days. Isn't the dragon cult too weak? It's not that the dragon cult is too weak, but the royal family's 5 Thunder's old ancestors are too strong. The strength of those 5 old guys is unfathomable. After coming out of seclusion, they helped my 14th brother break through again. Even the Lightning Seigneur's cultivation, which had been stuck for a long time, also broke through. You may think that after killing General Purple Thunder, you won't be afraid even if you meet them. But what I want to tell you is that their current cultivations are much stronger than before. Chen Kangmeng said worriedly. And my situation isn't good. I'm entangled with the volcano country, and the royal family is unwilling to give us food. Now, our War Eagle army can only be in a stalemate with the volcano country's army. I'm afraid we can't help you. Have you never thought of rebelling? Ling Xiao suddenly said. Are you sincere? Chen Kangmeng smiled bitterly. That's right. With a father like that and a brother like that, what are you waiting for? Were they going to wait for the War Eagle army to be killed by their own people? If you really can't do it, then retreat to the 8 Immortals County. I can let you be the 8 Immortal Kings, and you'll be more worthy of your title. Ling Xiao naturally didn't care about the throne of the 8 Immortal Kings. Sooner or later, The 8 Immortals' country will pledge allegiance to the Celestial Empire. He was the Celestial Emperor of the Celestial Empire. Naturally, he would not yearn for the throne. If Chun Kangmang was willing to take over his position, that would be perfect. Chun Kangmang had the ability to do so, and he also had great strength. All right, I'll consider your suggestion. Don't take my reminder lightly. That's all. I'll leave first. The situation at the front line is tense. I can't stay any longer. After Chun Kangmang finished speaking, he got up to leave. Wait a minute. Ling Xiao took out a sword. It was the Black Thunder Devil Sword that Jihyun of Silla had once used. This sword was a divine-grade spirit weapon. It was much better than the weapon in the hands of Chun Kangmang. This is for you. I hope it can help you survive. I've already erased Jihyun of Silla's consciousness. As long as you let the weapon recognize you as its master, it will be yours. Isn't this gift too valuable? Chun Kanglin didn't expect that he would receive such a valuable gift just by coming to deliver a message. It may be valuable to you, but it's just a burden to me. Take it. It's more useful in your hands. Ling Xiao already had the male and female 8 immortal swords. Naturally, he wouldn't care about such a sword. All right, I won't refuse. If you need my help in the future, just ask. With that, Chun Kangmang hurriedly left. The front line was tense. He had come personally to deliver a message to Ling Xiao, which showed that he attached great importance to it. He was probably worried that Ling Xiao wouldn't take it seriously if he sent his subordinates. Looking at Chun Kangmang's departing figure, Xiao Jin asked, "Boss, are we really not leaving?" "No, of course we're leaving." Ling Xiao revealed a determined expression. "If we keep holding up here, we won't be able to improve our strength. We'll never be able to defeat the enemy. Once all the spirit stones here are used up, we'll still die. So wealth comes from danger. I don't believe that the warlord Chen Sangxiong can take care of everything." Facing Chen Sangxiong, he wouldn't be able to resist like he was in the Imperial Mystery Realm. However, it wouldn't be easy to defeat him. But now he had the special ability of the Bloody Rat Demon, and Xiao Jin had recovered. With the two brothers working together, even if they couldn't win, escaping was no problem. The problem now was that he didn't know how strong Chen Sangxiong was, and that Lightning Seigneur was already very strong. What would happen if he broke through? So he had to avoid these two as much as possible. He was going out to train and improve his cultivation, not to die. Of course, if he really encountered them, he wouldn't be afraid. At worst, he'd go all out. One had to know that in the process of dealing with General Purple Thunder, he didn't reveal his final trump card. This was definitely a huge advantage for him. "Boss, where are we going next? Although the state of Chun is big, there are probably people everywhere who want to capture us, right?" Xiao Jin asked. "Simple. Who has a grudge against the royal family of the state of Qin?" Ling Xiao asked with a smile. "One is the Volcano Kingdom, the other is the Dragon Cult." At this point, Xiao Jin suddenly said, "I understand. Boss, you're planning to go to the Dragon Cult?" "Hee, I'm familiar with this Dragon Cult. Everyone there has a grudge against the royal family of the state of Qin. Going there will indeed be safer. Not only that, the Dragon Cult can contend against the royal family, so they must have some means to do so. The martial arts I have now can't keep up with the speed of my cultivation. So I have to go to the Dragon Cult. If I can get 1 or 2 sets, that'll be good." Ling Xiao said with a smile. At present, there was only one move left to comprehend in the shadow martial arts. For Ling Xiao, who liked to make arrangements for his cultivation, this was definitely not enough. He had always been a person with great foresight. The martial arts of the Dragon Cult were definitely much stronger than those of the 8 Immortals Mountain. Joining the Dragon Cult and obtaining stronger martial arts was his idea. If the Dragon Cult treated him sincerely, he could help the Dragon Cult fulfill their wish. If they schemed against him like those fellows of the 8 Immortals Mountain, then he definitely wouldn't sit still and wait for death. Ling Xiao's current goal was very clear. He didn't want to run away blindly. He had his own things to do. He also had his own plans. Although these plans might be adjusted midway due to changes in the situation, in the end he would be able to achieve his goal. Ever since he had the Taiji eye, it could be said that his plans were flawless. Although he had always been worried that Chun Sangxiong, or the Thunder Lord, would appear on their way to the dragon cult. Chapter 2694. The dragon cult was located in a land of bitter cold. It was the place where the Chun nation exiled its criminals. It was this group of criminals who founded the dragon cult and ruled this place. Furthermore, he had turned this desolate and uninhabited place into his own territory. The territory they occupied was actually more than 1/3 of the Chun nation's territory. It was much larger than the 8 Immortals nation. Others said that this was a land of bitter cold. However, when Ling Xiao arrived, he discovered that this was a place with few people and beautiful scenery. If it weren't for the fierce, demonic beasts that suddenly appeared in the forest, it could really be called a paradise. The dragon cult's territory is in front. Even the Chun nation's royal family won't dare to come here openly. Otherwise, they'll be surrounded and die without a burial ground. Ling Xiao looked at the sentry tower in front of him and a huge boundary steel. He couldn't help but feel relieved. The war prince Chun Sangxiong and the lightning seigneur couldn't find him. As he spoke, he stepped into the demonic dragon's domain with Xiao Jin. Young hero Ling, this envoy has been waiting here for a long time. As soon as he entered the demonic dragon's domain, a group of people rushed over. One of them was one of the dragon cult's demonic dragon envoys. The dragon cult had many demonic dragon envoys. Their strength was generally at the early to late stage of the Yin-Yang realm's 11th layer of hell. The demonic dragon envoy in front of him wasn't the one hiding in Thunder City. That person should still be in the War Prince's residence. The one in front of him should be at the late stage of the Yin-Yang realm's 11th layer of hell. He could be said to be very powerful. He was a demonic dragon envoy of the highest level. The dragon cult sent him to welcome Ling Xiao. It was really giving Ling Xiao enough face. "You know me?" Ling Xiao asked curiously. Ling Xiao didn't sense any killing intent from the other party. He knew that the other party wasn't an enemy. Although he had a grudge with the dragon cult, it wasn't an irreconcilable grudge. Young hero Ling must be joking. Who doesn't know your name after the battle outside Thunder City? The demon dragon envoy smiled and said, "The hierarch values you very much, so he sent us here to wait for you. Please come with me." "All right, with you guys leading the way, it'll save us a lot of trouble." Ling Xiao smiled. He was going to the dragon cult anyway, but other than Ling Yan, he didn't know any other dragon cult martial artists. With this person leading the way, he could rest assured. "I'm sorry, but none of you are leaving today." A voice suddenly came from afar. In an instant, the owner of the voice appeared and blocked everyone's path. This person was quite young. His hands were clasped behind his back as he stood proudly in midair. His white robe fluttered in the wind. He had the air of an immortal. As for that proud face, Ling Xiao recognized it at a glance. Warlord Chun Sangxiong. Ling Xiao smiled bitterly. They were already in the demon dragon domain, but Chun Sangxiong still dared to chase after them. It seemed that he was really bold. A cold killing intent came from Chun Sangxiong's body, as if the person standing in front of everyone wasn't a person. Instead, it was a demonic sword. "Boss, what should we do?" Xiao Jin also became nervous. The opponent was too strong, so he couldn't help but be nervous. "Yeah, what should we do? This Chun Sangxiong is much more terrifying than I imagined. It seems that his strength has increased greatly after entering the extreme Emperor secret realm." Ling Xiao frowned. Chun Sangxiong was no longer the same as before. It was really a headache. However, his expression didn't change. His expression didn't change in the face of a landslide. This was Ling Xiao's character. "Chun Sangxiong, how dare you? This is the demon dragon domain, and you dare to behave atrociously here. Do you not put my dragon cult in your eyes?" The demon dragon envoy stood in front of Ling Xiao and looked coldly at Qin Sangxiong. He didn't have any feelings for Ling Xiao. However, it was his responsibility to bring Ling Xiao safely to the demon dragon city. Moreover, the enemy had broken into the demon dragon domain. As the demon dragon envoy, he had to take action. In his opinion, Qin Sangxiong was indeed strong, but he wasn't weak either. As long as he could delay for a while, when the reinforcements arrived, even the famous eagle-killing god would die. Demon dragon envoy, be careful. This Qin Sangxiong is too strong. Ling Xiao kindly reminded. Young hero Ling, you're too arrogant. He's strong, but that's only because your cultivation is too weak. With me here, young hero Ling can rest assured. The demon dragon envoy didn't have Ling Xiao's Tai Chi eye, so he didn't know how terrifying Qin Sangxiong was. In fact, in Ling Xiao's eyes, Qin Sangxiong was like a huge black hole. The Tai Chi eye couldn't discern his true strength. In short, he was so strong that it made people's hair stand on end. It's better to be careful. Ling Xiao knew that the demon dragon envoy didn't believe his words, but he still reminded him. Listen to him. It's good for you. Get lost. I'm not here to cause trouble for the dragon cult. I only want him. Qin Sangxiong finally spoke and looked at the demon dragon envoy with disdain. Damn it! How dare you look down on me? Attack! The demon dragon envoy was furious. He immediately led 100 men to attack. These 100 men weren't mediocre. They were all martial artists in the Yin-Yang realm, level 10 of hell. However, when they rushed over, Qin Sangxiong didn't even look them in the eye. He just waved his hand coldly. Suddenly, a sword light flew out from his hand. The 100 men were all killed. It happened in an instant. As for the most powerful demon dragon envoy, his face was filled with fear. He could only wait for his death in despair. At this moment, he finally understood that Ling Xiao's warning was right. Qin Sangxiong wasn't someone he could fight against. Terrifying. Too terrifying. He even felt that his muscles were trembling in fear. He was so scared that he couldn't move at all. He could only watch helplessly as the sword light flew towards him. Earth-crossing golden light technique. Ling Xiao, who was standing still, suddenly made a move. He couldn't save the others, but he had to save the demon dragon envoy. This was an important factor for him to enter the dragon cult. It should be easier to have a high-level demon dragon envoy as a friend. Even Qin Sangxiong was surprised by the earth-crossing golden light technique. At that moment, he even lost track of Ling Xiao. When he saw him again, Ling Xiao had returned to his original position. The demon dragon envoy was beside Ling Xiao. He was panting heavily with an ugly expression. Thank you. Thank you for saving my life, young hero Ling. The demon dragon envoy didn't understand how Ling Xiao, who didn't seem to have a strong cultivation, saved him. However, the terrifying body technique just now was really powerful. You're welcome. Unfortunately, my ability is limited. I can't save everyone. What he wants is me. Stand aside for now. Ling Xiao took a step forward. He could have used the earth-crossing golden light technique to escape. However, he was still quite far from Demon Dragon City. He would have used up all his internal energy halfway. He wasn't sure that he could completely escape from Qin Sangxiong. Chapter 2695. Ling Xiao liked to be in control of everything and not rely on luck. Since he had already met Qin Sangxiong, there was nothing more to say. He could only do his best to fight this person. Speaking of which, he still had to thank Qin Sangxiong. Due to the pressure of the other party's terrifying killing intent, the potential in his body surged out in order to resist this killing intent. In the end, his cultivation naturally recovered to the early stage of the 11th level of the Yin-Yang realm. To him, this level of cultivation was like a timely rain that could make him much stronger. Qin Sangxiong looked at Ling Xiao, as if wanting to see through this person completely. Initially, he had never taken this person seriously. However, Ling Xiao had been in the limelight recently. He had even killed General Purple Thunder. Chun Songxiong could not help but take him seriously. In addition to that miraculous movement technique just now, Chun Songxiong no longer wanted to kill this person. Instead, he wanted to capture Ling Xiao alive and study him properly. Surrender. You are not this king's match. Chun Songxiong said indifferently, Come back with this king, and I can guarantee that you will not be killed. To be honest, your talent is truly astonishing. If you are willing to serve the royal family wholeheartedly, everything in the past can be forgotten. Haha, what a tempting offer. However, do you think that everyone should work for the royal family? That everyone should be your slaves? Chun Songxiong, listen up. You are indeed very strong, but I have seen people stronger than you. Compared to them, you are not even worth mentioning. Perhaps you are the most outstanding genius in the Qin nation, but that is all. I dare say that you can't kill me today. Do you believe me? Ling Xiao sneered. I don't believe you. Chun Songxiong shook his head and said, Even if you have the fate of a main character, I will take away your luck today. What arrogance! Then go ahead and try. I just hope that you won't be like those 7 pieces of trash from the Sky Thunder army. They talk big, but in reality they are all trash. Ling Xiao naturally knew how terrifying Chun Songxiong was, but he could not admit defeat now. Why should a good man be afraid of a battle? At most he would die. From the day Ling Xiao embarked on the path of martial arts, he had already disregarded life and death. Martial artists lived on the edge of a blade all day long. If they were afraid of death, it would be better for them to live in seclusion. Looking at Ling Xiao, Chun Songxiong suddenly frowned and said, What an insolent brat! Your character is really the same as the rumors. Are you not afraid that I will destroy the 8 Immortals County and kill everyone there? Can you afford that price? If you could do that, you would have gone a long time ago. You wouldn't have waited until now. Ling Xiao said disdainfully, In terms of cultivation, I'm indeed inferior to you, but in terms of attainments and formations, even 10,000 of you can't compare to one of me. So it was you who set up the formation. Very good. Since that's the case, this king must capture you alive. Chun Songxiong believed that there was an expert guiding Ling Xiao behind him. Otherwise, how could someone of Ling Xiao's age and his first reincarnation be so skilled in formations? As long as he captured Ling Xiao, the person behind him would definitely show himself. There was no doubt about this. To be honest, Ling Xiao did not have any confidence in facing an expert of Chun Songxiong's level. However, it was still the same. A good man was not afraid of a battle. That's right. Chun Songxiong had better cultivation conditions than him. After reincarnating, he was born in the Chun Kingdom's royal family. He had much better cultivation resources than him. He had a much better teacher than him. As for Xiao Qin, after reincarnating, he had to face the hostility of his clansmen, even plotting against him. He had to find all the resources himself. He had to risk his life to obtain all the martial techniques he knew. Logically speaking, he should have chosen to surrender. In any case, the other party would not kill him. Most people would probably choose this. The difference was too great, so great that it made one despair. However, Ling Xiao would not do so. Ling Xiao knew very well that if he surrendered, he might not die. But what about Xiao Jin, Lin Ruoxian, Moon Death, Lin Yang, and his many friends who supported him? Their lives would not be in his hands. Therefore, he could not surrender. Even if he died in battle, he could not surrender. If he surrendered, he would have no chance of winning. However, if he fought to the death, he should still have a 10% chance of winning. The enemy was indeed powerful, but he was not completely without a way to deal with it. He gave a look to the demonic dragon envoy that he had saved. The other party should be able to understand the meaning behind it. He was not Chun Songxiong's match. At present, he could only stall for time. As long as the experts of the dragon cult came, Chun Songxiong would have to retreat without a fight. Calling for reinforcements, Chun Songxiong said disdainfully, It will take at least half an hour to get here from demonic Dragon City, and I am certain that within 3 minutes, all of you will die. Ling Xiao, I will give you one last chance. As long as you are willing to come with me, I will release your pet. Anyway, he is meaningless to me. This special offer should be very good for you. I hope you will not refuse my good intentions." The reason Chen Songxiong did not want to make a move was very simple. It was because he felt that Ling Xiao was not worthy. Only by making Ling Xiao surrender voluntarily could he show his strength and dominance. Half an hour seems a little difficult, but I will give it a try. Ling Xiao took a deep breath and got into a fighting posture. "Let's take a gamble. You can't kill me within half an hour." As he spoke, he had already entered the purple lightning bull beast soul transformation state. At the same time, 5 beast souls were released from his back. Facing the warfighter prince, Chen Songxiong, he did not dare to hold back at all, because once he held back, death might come instantly. "Xiao Jin, help me protect that demonic dragon envoy. That guy is the key to our survival." Ling Xiao reminded and then stared at Chen Songxiong. This battle was the biggest hurdle he had faced since coming to the Black Tortoise Continent. Once he crossed it, his future would be extremely bright. But if he could not cross it, he would either die or become someone else's captive, a lab rat. He would probably be tied to a shelf for research. I have always been curious. How can you release so many beast souls at the same time? Are you really the legendary beast god martial artist? Or did you obtain the inheritance of the beast prince god in the 8 Immortals County? The inheritance of the beast prince god, even to Chen Songxiong, was full of great temptation. Otherwise, he would not have sent the 8th prince to compete with Ji Hyun of Silla for the 8 Immortals County. You really want to know? Defeat me first. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Defeating you is as easy as flipping my hand after your beast soul transformation. Your strength is almost equivalent to the middle stage of the 11th level of hell. After releasing those 5 beast souls, your strength can be raised to the late stage of the 11th level of hell. As for your top-level lightning battle physique and lava battle physique, they're nothing in front of me. So, you should have some special skill that can raise your strength to the peak of the 11th level of hell, right? Just like when you killed General Purple Lightning. Chapter 2696. Chen Songxiong looked at Ling Xiao with disdain. He didn't even want to attack. Ling Xiao knew that Chen Songxiong didn't know that he had the Sky Dragon Martial Soul, the Divine Phoenix Martial Soul, and the White Tiger Martial Soul. Together with the Imperial Heaven-Earth power, he could unleash the combat power of the peak of the Yin-Yang Realm level 11 without using the bloody rat demon. If it wasn't for the fact that he had just broken through and his cultivation wasn't stable enough when he faced General Purple Thunder, he wouldn't have used the bloody rat demon's move that hurt himself and the enemy. Chen Songxiong looked down on him and wanted to capture him alive. Naturally, he wouldn't go all out. To him, this was a great advantage. He had to delay for half an hour. 3 minutes. Time it well. Chen Songxiong smiled faintly. It wasn't that he was arrogant, but he was too strong, especially after his cultivation had undergone a qualitative change. How could he take Ling Xiao seriously? Would a strong man with powerful martial arts take a newborn baby seriously? This was the current situation for Chen Songxiong. He was a strong man, and Ling Xiao was just a newborn baby in front of him. Kill! Ling Xiao didn't care how much Chen Songxiong looked down on him. He only had one goal, and that was to delay for time. Delaying for 30 minutes would be his victory. He wasn't arrogant enough to think that he could kill Chen Songxiong, who underestimated him. If he was too greedy, he would be the one to die. Ling Xiao rushed out with 2 8 immortal swords in his hands. A black sword light suddenly pierced through the void. It was extremely fast. The angle was also very tricky, like a sword demon. He used the most perfect sword technique in the world. Transformative stage, shadow, sword demon. Ling Xiao directly used an immortal grade, first heaven technique to deal with Chen Songxiong. How dare a grain of rice compete with the sun and the moon? I'll show you what true power is. Qin Sangxiong didn't even look at Ling Xiao and directly swung his sword. A beam of sword qi pierced through the air. This was a very ordinary sword qi, and he didn't even use any martial techniques. Clearly, in Qin Sangxiong's opinion, defeating Ling Xiao did not require a martial skill. If he used a martial skill, he might even kill Ling Xiao. Now, he had to control the power of his attack so that he could achieve his goal of capturing Ling Xiao alive. The dazzling sword light instantly shattered Ling Xiao's dark shadow sword demon and hit Ling Xiao's body. Luckily, Ling Xiao used the lightning shield of Imperial Spirit to block it in time, thus avoiding serious injuries. However, he was sent flying by the sword aura. Ling Xiao barely managed to stab the ground with his two swords. In any case, he managed to stop after flying for over 100 meters. This attack allowed him to understand Qin Sangxiong's true strength. Although Qin Sangxiong still could not make a precise judgment, the current Qin Sangxiong was definitely not a cultivator at the 11th level of the Yin-Yang realm. Instead, it was the 12th level of hell in the Yin-Yang realm. There was no mistaking it. Otherwise, how could he have been sent flying so easily with such a full-strength attack that only lacked the bloody rat demon, the universe of tyrants, and the butterfly lady soul? Of course, this judgment was not much different from his previous conjecture. Qin Sangxiong, the 12th level of the Yin-Yang realm. You are indeed powerful, but your strength is only SOSO. Are you going to tickle me? Ling Xiao stood there and looked at Qin Sangxiong with disdain. The other party's attack was indeed powerful. He had to use the lightning shield to neutralize it, but it did not injure him. This meant that the current Qin Sangxiong had only broken through not long ago and had not fully grasped the power of the 12th level of hell. Is that so? Then you can try this attack again. Suddenly, Qin Sangxiong's sword stabbed dozens of times in the air at a speed that was hard to see with the naked eye. They were all ordinary attacks. Dozens of sword qi shot toward Ling Xiao like a storm. Every sword qi was a great threat to Ling Xiao, but none of them were aimed at his vitals. It was obvious that Qin Sangxiong was restraining himself. These ordinary sword qi were extremely troublesome for Ling Xiao. He had no choice but to use the lightning shield and the jade rabbit's jadeite tactic to block. He did not even have the strength to fight back. He was completely suppressed by Qin Sangxiong. Of course, this was the case on the surface. Qin Sangxiong probably did not realize that after attacking for so long, Ling Xiao looked very miserable, but Ling Xiao was not injured at all. It was just that he looked ridiculously weak on the surface. Is that all you've got? Are you joking? With this kind of strength, you can kill General Purple Thunder? You can kill Gu Tianba? Are you playing with me? Qin Sangxiong was naturally not a fool. After attacking for so long, Ling Xiao had not displayed the terrifying fighting strength he had outside of Thunder Capital. Then there was only one possibility. This kid was deliberately pretending to be a pig. Pretending to be a pig naturally had a purpose. But for what? Qin Sangxiong instantly calmed down. Good kid. I was almost fooled by your acting. You're deliberately stalling for time. Qin Sangxiong suddenly understood. Ling Xiao did not intend to fight with him at all. After knowing his goal, all of Ling Xiao's attacks were to stall for time. He looked at the time. Unknowingly, 10 minutes had already passed while he was furiously attacking. Damn you, I was really fooled by you. Qin Sangxiong was extremely angry. Since his debut, he had only been the one who lied to others and tricked others. How could others lie to him? He really wanted to kill Ling Xiao now. However, he was still a powerful figure and forcefully restrained his killing intent. Don't worry, Ling Xiao. I won't kill you. I'll capture you and your bird alive. Then I'll roast it on the fire and share it with my subordinates in front of you. Qin Sangxiong was trying to goad him because he knew that Ling Xiao had a very good relationship with the golden bird. However, he had used the wrong move. Xiao Jin was a golden crow. Would it be afraid of roasting? Haha, give me some of it when it's done. I really want to know how you roast a golden crow until it's crispy on the outside and tender on the inside. Idiot. Of course. Ling Xiao did not want Qin Songxiong to regain his rationality. An angry Qin Songxiong was much harder to deal with an irrational Qin Songxiong. This kind of trick of yours is already useless against this prince. Don't worry, I'll use even more power next. I guarantee that I'll cripple you in one move. This way, you won't die and can still become our research subject. Qin Songxiong released a strong killing intent. This killing intent was forced out by Ling Xiao. He had to be a little more serious. Otherwise, if experts from Demonic Dragon City really came in half an hour, it would be too late for him to regret it. I knew it. After all, the Qin Kingdom's royal family is a group of shameless villains. Who was the one who said that he would finish me in 3 minutes? It's already been 10 minutes, and you still have the face to attack? Chapter 2697. Ling Xiao secretly prepared his counterattack. Since the other party had already seen through his plan to stall for time, he could not continue using the same strategy. In the next 20 minutes, he could only go all out. So what if I am shameless? Today, 2 of you will die, and the other one will not be able to speak. Qin Songxiong did not care about Ling Xiao's provocation at all. It seemed that shamelessness was deeply ingrained in the cells and blood of the Qin Kingdom's royal family. To them, this was not a big deal. After saying this, he suddenly appeared in front of Ling Xiao in a flash. At this speed, unless Ling Xiao used the earth elemental golden light technique, there was no way he could dodge. Of course, Ling Xiao did not plan to dodge. The moment Qin Songxiong launched his fierce attack, he changed from the purple lightning bull beast soul to the jade rabbit beast soul form. Then he used the real jade technique. His body turned into a jade statue in an instant. The real jade technique could only be used when he transformed into the jade rabbit beast soul form. If he only summoned the jade rabbit beast soul, the jade technique he used would be a fake jade technique. It could increase his defense, but it could not completely avoid damage. Of course, it did not have a cooldown time and could be used continuously. On the other hand, the real jadeite tactics could drain one's inner strength for a period of time to resist all attacks. The disadvantage was that it had a cooldown time of half an hour after each use. It was because of this that Ling Xiao chose to use it at this critical moment. Qin Songxiong's furious sword energy pierced Ling Xiao's body like a storm. Other than the vital parts, he tried almost every other part. Perhaps it was because he was angered by Ling Xiao and was in a fit of anger that he neglected the changes in Ling Xiao's body. After a full 10 minutes of crazy attacks, Ling Xiao had consumed half of his internal energy. He had no choice but to swallow a yin-yang elemental energy pill to replenish it. Fortunately, he had enough pills, so he did not care. Qin Songxiong, on the other hand, felt that he had consumed a lot of internal energy after a series of attacks. Although it was a normal attack, it still consumed a lot of internal energy because of the sword energy released. As for the consumption of physical strength, it was even more so. I can't attack anymore. If I really kill him, it won't be in line with my plan. On one hand, it was because of the physical exhaustion. On the other hand, it was because he was worried about killing Ling Xiao. Qin Songxiong stopped attacking, but he didn't retreat in time, because he didn't think it was necessary. He wanted to see if Ling Xiao was still alive under his torrential attacks. However, the moment he relaxed his guard, Ling Xiao began his counterattack. The jade rabbit beast soul immediately transformed into the purple thunder bull beast soul. Then the earthquakes and mountain sway was used. In that instant, the earth trembled, and even space seemed to tremble. Although Qin Songxiong wouldn't faint, he was still affected for a moment and couldn't react for a while. Ling Xiao took the opportunity to attack and left a faint wound on Qin Songxiong's finger. This guy's defense was too strong. Even if he used a first heaven of immortal grade martial skill, he could only leave a small wound on him. Just as Qin Songxiong was about to recover, Ling Xiao had already transformed into the tyrant blood demonic dragon and released the demonic dragon blood curse. Qin Songxiong, who was already able to move freely, suddenly felt his qi and blood not flowing smoothly, especially the small wound on his finger. It seemed to have become a breakthrough for the qi and blood in his body to rush out. He had no choice but to suppress the surging qi and blood in his body. He knew that he had been tricked by Ling Xiao. At this moment he was furious. However, it was useless. Before he could take revenge on Ling Xiao, he had to solve his own problem first. However, since Ling Xiao had already started attacking, how could he let him escape so easily? After the demonic dragon blood curse, it was followed by the bloodthirsty plague. The power of the bloodthirsty plague was even more terrifying than the demonic dragon blood curse. Qin Sangxiong was furious. He was careless and actually fell into a disadvantage. He was restrained by a martial artist who was obviously much weaker than him. "Damn guy, wait until I recover. I'll make you beg for death," he roared angrily. "Four-leaf demonic pupils, soul catcher!" Ling Xiao didn't talk nonsense. In order to increase the power of the bloodthirsty plague and the demonic dragon blood curse, he used the four-leaf demonic pupils. Qin Sangxiong, who was staring at him, suddenly felt dizzy. The internal energy that he had gathered instantly dissipated. The bloodthirsty plague began to wreak havoc on his body. "It's not over yet." Ling Xiao looked at the time. 25 minutes had passed. He only needed to hold on for 5 more minutes, and the demonic dragon city's reinforcements would arrive. As long as the reinforcements arrived, it would be his victory. His figure changed again and entered the three-headed lava hound state. Then he unleashed the scorching hell. Then he released the Heavenly Thunder Divine Guards at the Great Perfection stage. 8 Heavenly Thunder Divine Guards pounced on Qin Sangxiong. In the scorching hell, they exploded with even more power. One after another, they self-destructed. Ling Xiao didn't expect the Heavenly Thunder Divine Guards to be able to stop Qin Sangxiong. What he wanted was to stall for time. After the Heavenly Thunder Divine Guards self-destructed, the destructive power produced would be very shocking. If Qin Sangxiong was careless, he would probably end up in a miserable state. "Ling Xiao!" Qin Sangxiong's angry roar could be heard amidst the violent explosions of thunder and lightning. The demonic dragon envoy's expression changed drastically. Xiao Jin was also a little worried. However, Ling Xiao didn't have the time to be afraid at this time. He still hadn't finished what he wanted to do, because there were still less than 30 minutes left. He instantly transformed into the Nine-Snake General. Then he released the Nine-Snake Poison Realm. 9 different poisons shot towards Qin Sangxiong like 9 poisonous dragons. All of this was to prevent Qin Sangxiong from attacking, because Ling Xiao knew that once Qin Sangxiong attacked, he would definitely erupt with his true combat strength. At that time, he might not even be able to resist for a moment. There were only 3 minutes left. As long as there were less than 30 minutes left, the other party might turn the tables. After using up all of this, Ling Xiao didn't stop. He finally released the butterfly lady's soul. "Little guy, I haven't asked for your help in a long time. This time attack fiercely." The moment Ling Xiao released the butterfly lady's soul, his strength had already increased to the peak of the 11th level of the Yin-Yang realm. It actually increased again. It directly climbed to the early stage of the 12th level of the Yin-Yang realm. Of course, this was only the increase in strength, not the increase in cultivation. At this time, Qin Sangxiong had already destroyed all of the attacks that Ling Xiao had released before. "These are all boring tricks. Extremely boring. Now you'll be defeated. I'll definitely cripple you first." Although Qin Sangxiong wasn't injured by Ling Xiao's previous attacks, however, that wretched appearance of his made him feel that he had lost face. He was actually played by a warrior from such a small town. Chapter 2698. Qin Sangxiong could not accept being played by an insignificant warrior like Ling Xiao. He wanted to let Ling Xiao have a taste of his power and cruel torture. However, just as he unleashed his terrifying battle prowess and destroyed all of Ling Xiao's previous attacks, he suddenly felt an extremely powerful aura burning in front of him. What's going on? Chun Sangxiong could not believe it. How could Ling Xiao's strength increase to such an extent in such a short time? Was he still human? His absolute confidence began to waver at this moment. Of course, it was only a little. His strength was still not something Ling Xiao could contend against. After using the butterfly lady's soul to raise his strength to the early stage of the 12th level of hell, Ling Xiao finally saw Chun Sangxiong's true strength. This guy's cultivation should be at the middle stage of the 12th level of hell. However, his true strength was enough to climb to the peak of the 12th level of hell, because the weapon in Chun Sangxiong's hand was an emperor weapon. Others could not use an emperor weapon, but Chun Sangxiong could. This was mainly because of his martial soul. He was a rare dual martial soul. In addition to the lightning martial soul, he also had a sword martial soul. Warriors who used weapon martial souls could not merge and transform like those who used beast martial souls. However, they could use higher level weapons. Moreover, Chun Sangxiong was undoubtedly a genius. The martial arts he possessed also allowed him to challenge those of a higher level. Ordinary warriors at the peak of the 12th level of hell were no match for him at all. Ling Xiao could not help but feel a little emotional. Fortunately, his goal was only to stall for time and create this half an hour. It was not to defeat the opponent. Otherwise, it would be a huge blow. Now he had used all that he could except for the universe of tyrants and the bloody rat demon. Ling Xiao tried not to use the universe of tyrants and the bloody rat demon if he could. The former was too eye-catching, although it was the strongest power of the sky tyrant martial soul. However, once he used it, and others found out, he would never have a day of peace. As for the bloody rat demon, it was a self-inflicted injury. Ling Xiao had finally recovered to the early stage of the 11th level of hell. He really did not want to cultivate again, although the bloody rat demon could at least raise his battle strength by 2 small realms. However, it was still not Chun Sangxiong's match. There was no point in using it. After Ling Xiao released the butterfly lady's soul, the bloody rat demon's blood rat demon had instantly increased its power. The germs that Chun Sangxiong had gotten rid of had come back to life, causing him a lot of trouble. At this moment, he had to use at least 30% of his power to deal with the bloody rat demon. Once, of Ling Xiao's the god S demons, is others Ling. However, he did not need of it. Right now, his battle prowess had increased explosively. Naturally, he had to take advantage of this opportunity to cooperate with the bloodthirsty rat plague and attack Chun Sangxiong relentlessly, not giving him a chance to recover. There were still 2 minutes left, and he could already feel a powerful aura coming from afar. No matter who it was definitely a top expert of the dragon cult. Even Chun Sangxiong would not dare to say that he would win. Chun Sangxiong also sensed the aura and sped up. He wanted to end the battle as soon as possible. Even if he did not want him alive, he could not leave Ling Xiao to the dragon cult. However, the troublesome thing was that he was being suppressed by Ling Xiao. A pair of resplendent rainbow butterfly wings appeared behind Ling Xiao's back. Not only was her figure graceful, but it was also a beautiful sight. Not only was his figure beautiful, but his attacks were also powerful. Chun Sangxiong was forced to retreat step by step. Damn it, it's because I underestimated my opponent. Chun Sangxiong had told himself many times not to underestimate his opponent. However, when faced with Ling Xiao, his arrogant personality still caused him to suffer a great loss. He still underestimated his opponent. If it was any other enemy, even if he underestimated them, he would be able to quickly turn the situation around. But facing Ling Xiao, he could not find a chance to reverse the situation. It was as if Ling Xiao had long drawn up a set of plans. Every move he executed, they were all meticulously calculated. This allowed him to remain passive and unable to use his full strength. This guy should still have some trump cards up his sleeve. I have to be careful. Chun Sangxiong had seen the battle between Ling Xiao and General Purple Thunder. He knew that Ling Xiao's sudden increase in strength was completely different from the one he was using now. What kind of martial soul was this? How could it increase his battle strength so much in an instant? He did not understand and was very confused, but it was useless for him to be confused. Ling Xiao would not give him the chance to understand. Your Highness, Warring Prince, I'm sorry. Today, you can forget about taking advantage of me, and I will leave a mark of shame on your body. Kill. Even though he knew that he could not defeat Qin Sangxiong right now. However, at the same time, Ling Xiao also believed that with his current strength, he could still hurt the other party, especially when his opponent was still unable to use his full strength. Second heaven of immortal grade martial technique. Advent of the Black Deity. Proficient. After the life and death battle in Lei Du, Ling Xiao had not only gained fame and spirit stones, he had also improved his martial technique. The advent of the Black Deity had been upgraded from the initial success stage to the proficient stage. Its power had become even more terrifying. It was even more terrifying than the shadow sword demon in the transcendent stage. Using this move to deal with Chun Sangxiong, that would be too appropriate. At this moment, Ling Xiao held nothing back except for the universe of tyrants and the bloody rat demon. At the same time as the terrifying move was released, a sword immortal in black descended from the void, with a terrifying sword chi that could rival everything. He wanted to destroy the enemy in front of him. Crack! The sword chi tore the space and instantly arrived in front of Chun Sangxiong. This made Chun Sangxiong's brows furrow into a rope. He was too shocked. He was too depressed. He felt even more vexed. He was clearly stronger than his opponent, but he was suppressed by his opponent to the point of being unable to breathe. He had never experienced such humiliation before. Back then, in the Imperial Mystic Realm, you casually destroyed my storage ring. Perhaps in your eyes, that was just a small matter. But in my eyes, that was a humiliation to my character. Today, I will let you have a taste of what it feels like to be humiliated. As Ling Xiao spoke, he did not stop his attack. Everything was going smoothly according to his plan. He would not be complacent just because his plan was going smoothly, because he knew very well that underestimating his opponent at any time could lead to his eternal damnation. Perhaps this was the reason why the weak were less likely to underestimate their opponent than the strong. Chun Sangxiong felt the terrifying power of Ling Xiao's sword. He felt regret and fear in his heart. He could feel what his opponent's sword could do. The terrifying pressure brought by the Black Sword Immortal actually made his body unable to move. Chapter 26:99 Thunder Sword. Suddenly, Chun Sangxiong roared. A crack appeared in the sky. A huge thunder sword condensed from heavenly lightning fell from the sky and pierced towards Ling Xiao. There are only 30 seconds left. Ling Xiao raised his head and looked at the terrifying thunder sword. The Tai Chi eye began to analyze the power of the thunder sword. He did not want to avoid it, let alone block it, because no matter what he did, it would give Chun Sangxiong a chance to turn the situation around. Then let's see whose body is stronger. Ling Xiao did not do anything. His sword still pierced towards Chun Sangxiong's throat with an unstoppable momentum. At the same time, the thunder sword in the sky fell towards Ling Xiao's head. Puchi, the 8 immortal sword in Ling Xiao's right hand pierced through Chun Sangxiong's right shoulder. The 8 immortal sword in his left hand pierced through the gap between Chun Sangxiong's collarbone. Chun Sangxiong let out a shocking scream. At the same time, Ling Xiao was also bombarded by the thunder sword. The terrifying thunder fell on his head, and he felt that his hair was already burnt. However, at this time the top-notch thunder body that Chun Sangxiong looked down on played a key role. Apart from a few burnt hairs, the power of thunder and lightning did negligible damage to Ling Xiao. Instead, it was the thunder sword that caused the physical damage. The sword wound pierced through Ling Xiao's body from his shoulder. Fortunately, Both of them were combat experts. At the most critical moment, they avoided each other's vital points. Even so, Qin Sangxiong's injury was still more serious than Ling Zhao's. After all, his thunder sword was only a hasty attack, while Ling Zhao's attack was a charged attack. Of course, even though his injury was not light, only his collarbone and shoulder blade were pierced. For an expert of Qin Sangxiong's level, it was not a big deal. The problem was that the physical damage was far less than the psychological and mental damage. Qin Sangxiong had never been defeated since he entered the samsara. He had outstanding talent. Since he entered the samsara, he had been greatly nurtured by the royal family. Not to mention being defeated, he had never even been injured before. But today, not only did Ling Xiao injure him, but he also left 3 wounds on his body. He felt that he had been nailed to the pillar of shame. He hadn't paid any attention to Ling Xiao when he had come here. His only worry was that the top experts of the Magic Dragon City would make a move. But now Ling Xiao, who had appeared in the small Yuhua town after reincarnating, was clearly an insignificant fellow. He had actually injured himself. The other party's true cultivation was only at the early stage of the 11th level of hell in the Yin-Yang realm. How could he possibly calm down after seeing this? Kill! 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 He didn't care about keeping Ling Xiao alive, nor did he care about torturing Ling Xiao. Before he left this place, he wanted Ling Xiao dead. Only when Ling Xiao was dead would he be able to toy with such humiliation. At this moment, Ling Xiao's attack also stopped. 30 minutes had passed. Ling Xiao had achieved his goal. He also heaved a sigh of relief. Even if he wanted to continue attacking, he wouldn't be able to use any stronger moves. Qin Sangxiong was obviously planning to launch an attack. The sword in his hand bloomed with the luster of an emperor weapon. At the same time, 2 martial souls appeared behind him. One was blood-red lightning, which was exactly the same as Ling Zhao's blood thunder. The other looked like a sword. When the 2 martial souls were released at the same time, Ling Xiao knew that Qin Sangxiong was indeed a genius. With the release of the 2 martial souls, the seal on the Blood Thunder Emperor sword in Qin Sangxiong's hand was also truly unsealed. It bloomed with the luster of an emperor weapon. It released the pressure of an emperor weapon. From now on, Ling Xiao, I won't look down on you, and I won't let you live. I'll tear you into pieces. Qin Sangxiong's eyes were filled with madness. He, who was born high and mighty, was injured by a lowly fellow. His noble body was pierced. Every time the pain hit him, he felt extremely humiliated. Ling Xiao looked at the Blood Thunder Emperor sword in Qin Sangxiong's hand and frowned slightly. Did he have to use the strongest power of the bloody demonic rat and the Sky Tyrant martial soul, the Sky Tyrant universe? He looked into the distance. The people of Demon Dragon City had arrived, but they were not willing to attack. Why was this so? His heart instantly sank to the bottom of the valley. It seemed that he had to find a way to escape. It was really unwise to entrust his life to others. Die, Ling Xiao! Blood Thunder Emperor sword, kill! At this moment, Qin Sangxiong roared. The sword in his hand, with the help of the 2 martial souls, released a huge and thick sword qi. It pierced towards Ling Xiao. The air seemed to be compressed into nothingness. The sword qi was so fast that no one had a chance to catch it. The terrifying power caused the air to explode in an instant. If it hit Ling Xiao, even if Ling Xiao did not die, he would be seriously injured. Damn, this is the power of an emperor weapon. The owner of a weapon martial soul is really enviable. Ling Xiao knew that Qin Sangxiong did not prepare any big moves in order to kill him. That was because big moves required time. Qin Sangxiong was also worried that the people of Demon Dragon City would interfere, so he directly pierced his sword. However, an emperor weapon was an emperor weapon. Coupled with the terrifying sword qi released by his martial soul, it was comparable to a second heaven of a mortal-grade martial technique. Boss, be careful! Xiao Jin sped up and rushed over, but the sword qi was too fast and he could not help. Don't come over! Ling Xiao shouted and his figure disappeared again. Vertical golden light technique. This was the move Ling Xiao used to save the demon dragon envoy. He used it now to avoid Qin Songxiong's killing move. At that moment, his body completely turned into golden light and disappeared. Qin Songxiong's sword qi hit the ground where he was just now. In an instant, a terrifying pit appeared. There was actually blood-red, lightning flashing inside. Fortunately, my cultivation has increased. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to withstand it. Ling Xiao breathed a sigh of relief and hurriedly returned to Xiao Jin's side and put Xiao Jin back into the beast ring. He had the vertical golden light technique to avoid Chen Songxiong's attack. However, Xiao Jin did not. If the opponent targeted Xiao Jin, then he would be in trouble. As for the demon dragon envoy, he did not plan to save him again. What kind of joke is this? The experts of Demon Dragon City are here, and they are still hiding to watch the show. Why should he save the demon dragon envoy again? Ling Xiao avoided Chen Songxiong's ruthless attack. This made Chen Songxiong frown slightly. Kid, you are really surprising. Just now, you saved the demon dragon envoy with this move. I want to see how many sword chi you can dodge. He suddenly sneered, and the blood thunder imperial sword in his hand released an explosive energy. Chapter 2700. Suddenly, Chen Songxiong saw Xiao Jin flying over. Xiao Jin actually flew out of the beast ring. He was going to block this terrifying attack for Ling Xiao. There wasn't much difference between a beast ring and a storage ring. They were just more suitable for living creatures to live in. As long as Xiao Jin was desperate enough, he could still rush out even without Ling Xiao's permission. After all, it was just an ordinary beast ring. There weren't many seals on it. Seeing Xiao Jin rushing over, Qin Songxiong's lips curled into a cold smile. He actually managed to slow down the sword aura for a moment. This kind of terrifying control also showed his terrifying strength at the same time. He wanted to kill Xiao Jin in front of Ling Xiao, because he realized that in Ling Xiao's eyes, Xiao Jin wasn't just a small battle pet. He was like a brother. He wanted to make Ling Xiao suffer. If he killed Ling Xiao directly, it would be too easy for this kid. Anyway, it would only take a moment. The people of the dragon cult didn't seem to want to make a move right away. This gave him a chance. The hundreds of dense sword auras were still more than 10 meters away from Ling Xiao, but he could already feel their terrifying sharpness. His body felt like it was being cut apart inch by inch. If I dodge, Xiao Jin will be seriously injured. I can't let him get hurt for me. Ling Xiao gritted his teeth. He was closer to Qin Songxiong, and he was faster than Xiao Jin. I'm going all out. Your brother can die for you. Why can't you block the sword auras for your brother? Besides, this attack was originally aimed at you. The sword auras were getting closer and closer. The entire sky seemed to be dyed red. Ling Xiao looked at the reinforcement from the Demon Dragon City. He knew that the other party was testing him. Okay, since you want to test me, I'll prove to you that I'm qualified to be saved by you. Bloody rat, activate. As Ling Xiao's body turned blood red, the original transformation of the butterfly lady's soul began to turn blood red. The transformation of the butterfly lady's soul didn't disappear. The bloody rat allowed Ling Xiao to increase his strength by 2 small realms. His strength had reached the late stage of the 12th level of the Yin-Yang realm. This strength gave him the ability to face Qin Songxiong directly. Although he was still no match, at least he wouldn't die. However, he was well aware that the increase this time was a total of 6 minor realms, although he had the support of the butterfly lady's soul. However, after he was released from the bloody rat state, his cultivation level would drop by 6 realms from the early stage of the 11th level of the Yin-Yang realm to the peak of the 9th level of the Yin-Yang realm. But he had no regrets. He couldn't watch his good brother die in front of him. He knew how powerful the other party's this attack. As long as he was hit, he would be crushed wood. And he didn't have a second's S's to do. At that moment, he was to protect him. Seeing this, Qin Songxiong was obviously surprised. People like him simply did not understand what true brotherly love was. He simply did not understand why Ling Xiao dared to stand in front of Xiao Jin even though he knew he was going to die. In his eyes, this was stupidity. Stupid guy, do you really think I don't dare to kill you? Forget it. Even if I kill you, your little pet won't live. He sneered, and the Blood Thunder Emperor's sword in his hand burst out with even more shocking power. The hundreds of sword chi became even more dazzling. Ling Xiao's eyes were completely blood red, and he couldn't see anything else. Selfish guy, you'll never understand the sincere feelings between brothers. Also, you want to kill me? I'm afraid it won't be that easy. Ling Xiao roared. He took out 8 huge bronze coffins at the same time, although he knew that this meant that he would have to bear a huge burden. Not only would his cultivation regress, but it would also be sealed. But at this moment he could only do this. His opponent was too strong. He was far from being a match for him, although he had used all kinds of methods to raise his strength to an unimaginable level. He was still no match for Qin Songxiong. This guy was indeed a genius. A top genius. The 8 bronze coffins blocked in front of Ling Xiao, helping him to resist Qin Songxiong's crazy attack. Idiot! Even if you're using an emperor weapon, it's still not worth mentioning in front of me. A weapon martial soul isn't as simple as you think. Sword martial soul, Blood Thunder Emperor sword combine. He roared, and the sword martial soul behind him merged into the Blood Thunder Emperor sword. Then, the light of the Blood Thunder Emperor sword became even more dazzling. The terrifying sword chi pierced through the first bronze coffin in an instant. Shatter! Boom! A terrifying explosion rang out as the bronze coffin was shattered. Then, the second bronze coffin was also pierced. Third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth. 8 consecutive coffins were all shattered by this terrifying attack. However, Qin Songxiong's attack was already weak and powerless. When it reached Ling Xiao, it lost its power. Ling Xiao's heart ached. He had accidentally obtained these 8 bronze coffins from the 5th floor of the ghost prison. He didn't expect them to be destroyed today. Qin Songxiong, one day, you'll pay me back with your Blood Thunder Emperor sword. Ling Xiao slightly adjusted his mood. At this moment, not only did he not retreat, he began to take the initiative to attack. He had already used the Bloody Devil Rat. If he didn't attack now, it would be a waste of the increased battle power. Taking advantage of the moment, when Qin Songxiong's old power had just dissipated, and before the new power was generated, 8 thick chains suddenly flew out of Ling Xiao's body. These chains were still Emperor weapons, although they were the lowest grade Emperor weapons. They still had the terrifying power of an Emperor weapon. The troublesome thing was that the consequences Ling Xiao would have to bear would be more serious. The 8 bronze coffins would seal his cultivation for 80 days. The 8 bronze chains would also seal his cultivation for 80 days. For others, 160 days might not be much. But for someone of Ling Xiao's talent, if he couldn't break through in 160 days, the consequences would be very serious. However, since Ling Xiao had used it, he wouldn't think too much. It didn't matter if it was 80 days or 160 days. At worst, he would find a way to shorten the time. The 8 chains flew out. Qin Songxiong was caught off guard and was bound by the chains. Inscriptions flickered on the 8 chains. Qin Songxiong couldn't break free for a moment. At this moment, he felt a fear that he had never felt before. He was actually forced to this extent by Ling Xiao. No, I'm Qin Songxiong. I'm the flying eagle killing god. I can't lose. Myriad lightning sword chi. Break for me. He roared crazily, and countless terrifying sword chi rushed out of his body. The crazy sword chi began to tear apart the chains that sealed him. Chapter 2701. Ling Xiao frowned. At this moment, he couldn't let Qin Songxiong destroy his 8 chains. That would be a bit of a loss. He directly rushed over. He allowed the myriad thunder sword chi to pierce his body as he snatched the Blood Thunder Emperor sword from Qin Songxiong's hand. You destroyed my bronze coffin, so I want your Blood Thunder Emperor sword. No need for the future. It's mine now. Don't even think about it. The Blood Thunder Emperor sword has already merged with my soul. You can't erase my consciousness. Chen Sangxiong roared as he broke another chain. Ling Xiao snatched the Blood Thunder Emperor sword and ignored Chen Sangxiong's roar. With a thought, a terrifying origin spirit rushed in. In an instant, Chen Sangxiong's consciousness in the Blood Thunder Emperor sword was erased. In terms of soul power, Chen Sangxiong couldn't catch up to him. Puff! Chen Sangxiong spat out a mouthful of blood and his face turned pale. No, impossible. At this moment, he unleashed all of his strength and finally broke the remaining chains. However, Ling Xiao didn't feel the pain anymore. The grade of the Blood Thunder Emperor sword was much better than the bronze coffin and the chains. It was definitely worth it to snatch this thing. Die! You must die! A hoarse voice burst out from Chen Sangxiong's throat. He was completely enraged like a wounded bear. Now, you don't have the Blood Thunder Emperor sword. Can you still kill me? Ling Xiao looked at Chen Sangxiong with disdain. The one who will die is you. Even Ling Xiao didn't expect that he would gain the upper hand at this moment. Without the Blood Thunder Emperor sword and the sword martial soul, Chen Sangxiong's fighting strength was at most on par with his. Would he be afraid of him? Blood Thunder Emperor sword martial soul, release. Ling Xiao once had a weapon martial soul, but he absorbed it as energy a long time ago. At that time, he didn't know the benefits of a weapon martial soul. Since he had seen it today, he naturally had to use it. Not only had he stolen Chen Sangxiong's Blood Thunder Emperor sword, but he had also devoured Chen Sangxiong's Blood Thunder Emperor sword martial soul. It had become his martial soul. Now, he could also use common grade emperor weapons without any punishment. Moreover, as long as it was a sword, its power would increase greatly in his hands. This was the advantage of having a weapon martial spirit. I'll use this sword to end you. Ling Xiao raised his Blood Thunder Imperial sword and looked at Chen Sangxiong coldly. Die. It was the same attack. Blood red sword chi shot towards Chen Sangxiong. Chen Sangxiong's expression changed drastically. Unexpectedly, never in his wildest dreams had he imagined that he would be forced into such a dangerous situation by a cultivator whom he looked down upon and was unwilling to even look at. Ling Xiao, remember this king will come back. Blood Thunder escape. Chen Sangxiong also had a life-saving technique. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to escape unscathed from the dragon cult's pursuit time and time again after so many years. This Blood Thunder escape seemed to have the same effect as Ling Xiao's Earth Elemental Golden Light technique. It might even be stronger. Ling Xiao could only watch as Chen Sangxiong disappeared before his eyes. What a pity. Ling Xiao sighed, feeling that it was a pity. However, in the eyes of others, they were incomparably shocked. Ling Xiao had actually defeated the Qin nation's #1 genius, Chen Sangxiong. He had defeated Chen Sangxiong and forced him to flee? Perhaps no one would believe it if this was told. The person who had come from Demon Dragon City to assist Ling Xiao was also incomparably shocked. He even regretted not making a move earlier. This was because he didn't expect Ling Xiao to be able to turn the tables at the last moment. This person was none other than the Dragon Cult's sect master, Chen Bai. Chen Bai was also a member of the Qin nation's royal family. However, because he had done something a few years ago, the royal family had demoted him to a commoner and exiled him here. However, this fellow had the same terrifying aptitude as Chen Sangxiong. Moreover, he had entered the cycle of reincarnation several decades earlier than Chen Sangxiong. Thus, his strength was only stronger than Chen Sangxiong's. As for how strong he was, it was unknown. In any case, Ling Xiao couldn't see through him. Chen Bai sighed. He felt somewhat helpless that Ling Xiao wasn't able to obtain his favor. In truth, he had been devoting himself to reviving the dragon cult all these years in order to overthrow the Qin nation's royal family. However, because the Thunder Emperor had injured his foundation in his early years, his cultivation had stagnated. Although this cultivation was still at the peak of the Chun nation, he probably had no hope of improving it in this lifetime. This was precisely the reason why he had been searching for someone to inherit his legacy. Ling Xiao's performance outside Thunder Capital was already very eye-catching. However, today he still wanted to test Ling Xiao one last time. The result was that he liked this kid even more. Join the dragon cult and become my final disciple. Chen Bai came before Ling Xiao and got straight to the point. Okay, Ling Xiao was also very direct. In any case, in the mystic world, a cultivator could have more than one master. It was just like the other world in Ling Xiao's memories. The students there could have many teachers from kindergarten to university. As long as they didn't forget those who treated them well, they wouldn't be spurned. This was different from being treated like a son. Moreover, Ling Xiao could sense that Qin Bai was very strong. He could make him even stronger. In the entire Qin nation, the only person who could protect him from being killed was probably this Qin Bai. Moreover, he could see that Qin Bai was very eager to have a good disciple. With his aptitude, if he became Chen Bai's disciple, it wouldn't be long before he could learn all the skills of the dragon cult's leader. Although he was somewhat unhappy with Qin Bai, this guy had clearly arrived long ago, but was unwilling to save him. However, he wouldn't take such a small matter to heart. As long as Qin Bai truly treated him like a disciple, he would treat him like a master. Moreover, Ling Xiao came to the dragon cult this time to join the dragon cult and learn the classic martial arts of the dragon cult. With Chen Bai leading the way, it would be even better. There will be a day when this daddy will return to Thunder Capital. At that time, whether it's Chen Songxiong, the bullshit lightning emperor, or the lightning senior, they will all wail at my feet. I want the entire Qin nation to become my Ling Xiao's territory. This was the fundamental reason why Ling Xiao wasn't willing to escape from the Qin nation. Steadily and steadily, one step at a time, nibbling away at the entire black tortoise continent. This was his established strategy. Of course, he wouldn't tell this to Qin Bai. This was because he didn't trust Qin Bai right now. He believed that there were no absolute good or bad people in this world. The royal family was despicable and shameless, but there were still people like Chen Kangming. The dragon cult was rumored to be evil beyond redemption, but there were definitely good people. It was actually even harder to tell if a person was good or bad. It wasn't like on TV, where it was easy to label someone. Real people were very complicated. Chen Bai's reputation wasn't good. It was rumored that this guy was vicious and merciless, doing things very cruelly. Chapter 2702. However, there were also rumors that Chen Bai liked to burn, kill, and kidnap women. This made Ling Xiao somewhat suspicious. Although Chen Bai exuded an evil aura, this guy shouldn't be the kind of person who was attached to women. Ling Xiao believed in his own eyes. Of course, he still had to slowly observe the other party. As the saying goes, distance tests a horse's strength, and time reveals a person's heart. In any case, Ling Xiao wasn't a marionette. He had his own opinions. At this moment, Chen Bai was also looking at Ling Xiao. He was quite surprised. Others would despise becoming Chen Bai's disciple. They would be ridiculed, cursed, and criticized. However, Ling Xiao actually agreed without hesitation. What kind of thoughts does this kid have? Forget it, who cares? As long as he can inherit my legacy and destroy the Chen Kingdom's royal family, he can do whatever he wants. Thinking of this, Qin Bai also felt relieved. Ling Xiao was the same as him. He had a grudge against the Chen Kingdom's royal family. Moreover, his aptitude was definitely more terrifying than that war prince Qin Songxiong. He was also willing to become his disciple. There was no need to forcefully take him in as a disciple. What was there to be dissatisfied about? Good, good. The world fears me, Qin Bai, and ridicules me, Qin Bai. However, you are willing to take me as your master. I am very happy. Over the past few days, all of your great achievements have been sent to my chopping board by my subordinates, one by one. However, Hearsay is false after all. Today, I saw you turn the tables in a battle that was absolutely impossible to win. You even snatched Chen Songxiong's blood, thunder, imperial sword. I no longer doubt your aptitude. Haha. Qin Bai looked up to the sky and laughed heartily. Of course, he was happy, because his cultivation was forever stagnant. There were now people within the dragon cult who were beginning to covet his position. He knew all of this, but there was nothing he could do. Without a qualified successor, even if he killed those people, the seat would belong to someone else sooner or later. It wasn't his, and it wasn't his heirs. If Master treats me with sincerity, I will treat you with sincerity. Ling Xiao knew that these words might not be appropriate, but he had to say it. He had to tell Qin Bai what kind of person he was. As expected, you're a straightforward person. That makes things easier. I'm also tired of those scheming people. Qin Bai laughed. But when you enter the dragon cult in the future, you should try to be more careful. It's true that the dragon cult belongs to me, but there will always be some people who sneak in. You have to be on guard against them. Master, don't worry. Your disciple, will not harm others. However, if others harm me, I will definitely make them pay a terrible price. Ling Xiao's words were both an answer and a warning. Since he had taken Qin Bai as his master, he planned to respect him. Therefore, he didn't want Qin Bai to do anything bad to him and force him to kill his teacher. That was definitely not what he wanted. Moreover, Ling Xiao was actually quite grateful to Qin Bai. Although Qin Bai didn't make a move after arriving, he knew in his heart that if not for Qin Bai's arrival, Qin Bai wouldn't have been so timid when attacking. He might not have been able to turn the tables. Moreover, once the sanguine rat was used, it would consume a lot of energy. If his internal energy ran out, he would really die. Objectively speaking, Qin Bai had helped him. He wasn't an ungrateful person. He naturally knew this in his heart. Moreover, he had already removed the sanguine rat and the butterfly lady's soul. His cultivation had dropped to the peak of the Yin-Yang realm's 9th level of hell. Qin Bai was still willing to accept him as his disciple. Just this courage alone was something that ordinary people couldn't compare to. Good. Since you have such thoughts, I'm relieved. Let's go. I'll take you to Demon Dragon City. On the way, I'll tell you some things about the dragon cult in detail. Oh, right. The demon dragon envoy you saved, Chenwan, is my adopted son. Your cultivation has dropped greatly. I'm afraid there will be danger, and I can't always be by your side. If you encounter any trouble, you can directly find Chenwan. He will definitely help you. Qin Bai looked at the demon dragon envoy and said, Brother Ling, my life is given to me by you. If you have any trouble in the future, feel free to find me. Chenwan hurriedly said, whether it was to repay the kindness or out of loyalty to Qin Bai, Chenwan was willing to protect Ling Xiao. Thank you, big brother Chenwan. Ling Xiao cupped his hands to express his gratitude. Indeed, with his current strength, if he went to the dragon cult, he would definitely be bullied. After all, any sect was like this. If you were weak, you would be bullied, unless you had a big backer. Master, aren't you going to ask me why my cultivation suddenly increased greatly and why it dropped greatly now? Ling Xiao suddenly asked. Although I want to know. If you don't want to tell me, I won't force you. Everyone has their own secrets that they don't want to talk about, and I'm the same. When you want to tell me, we'll talk about it. I'll only ask you one thing. Do you need my help? Qin Bai smiled and said, since he had already decided to take Ling Xiao as his successor to inherit his legacy, he would not have the slightest doubt. Even if he found out that he was cheated in the end, he deserved it. But now he would not doubt Ling Xiao at all. As the saying goes, don't doubt people you use and don't use people you doubt. It was the same when choosing a disciple. If he did not trust Ling Xiao, he would not choose Ling Xiao. Actually, what attracted him to Ling Xiao wasn't just his outstanding aptitude. In fact, it was also that touching brotherly love. Xiao Jin could die for Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao could also come for Xiao Jin, even at the cost of his life. Would such a person betray his own master? Qin Bai did not believe it. There really are some things that I need your help with, Master. Ling Xiao smiled and said, I have a pill formula that can shorten the time of the cultivation seal. But in this pill formula, one of the medicinal herbs needed must be the demonic beast crystal core of a blood sandaled giant python with the strength of a 1-star, 12 levels of hell. But with my current strength, it's simply impossible to get it. If you have time, Master, can you help me? Small matter, I'll help you. A blood-sandaled giant python with the strength of a 1-star, 12 levels of hell was actually not easy to deal with. Even Chen Bai did not have full confidence that he could kill it. But since his disciple mentioned it and he also had a certain degree of confidence, he naturally had to give it a try. If you are not willing to do things for your disciple, then why should your disciple do things for you? Thank you, Master. Chen Bai's straightforwardness made Ling Xiao have a good impression of him. A person's good impression of another person and even feelings did not come out of nowhere. Ha ha ha, what are you thanking me for? You are my disciple, so I should help you. I'm not afraid of you laughing at me. Although there are many geniuses in my dragon cult, there is not a single one like Chen Songxiong. This has put our dragon cult at a disadvantage in the competition with the Qin Kingdom's royal family. All these years, Master has been looking for someone who can do his best to teach me all the martial arts. But only today did I find you. Chapter 2703. That bastard Chen Songxiong won't be discouraged by this failure. I know that kid too. I even thought of forcefully taking him as my disciple. However, that kid is too vicious and greedy. He obtained the Blood Thunder Emperor Sword and learned my Blood Thunder Escape. However, he helped his father, the Thunder Emperor, to injure me. If it wasn't for my good luck, I would have died today. At this point, Qin Bai let out a heavy sigh. The reason why I'm telling you this is to tell you that you mustn't slack off just because you were lucky enough to turn the tables this time. I understand. Ling Xiao nodded. He didn't know much about the dragon cult, but Chen Songxiong was indeed powerful. Especially after this failure, he believed that Chen Songxiong would improve even further. Geniuses were geniuses, not only because of their outstanding aptitude. It was also because they could become stronger after experiencing failure. Chen Songxiong's life had been too smooth in the past. He had never experienced failure. If he could survive this setback, he would become even more terrifying. Therefore, Ling Xiao couldn't slack off. Once he slacked off, he would be the unlucky one the next time he met Chen Songxiong. On the way back to the demonic dragon city, Chen Bai told Ling Xiao more about Chen Songxiong. It seemed that Chen Bai was still holding a grudge against Chen Songxiong for deceiving him and betraying him. As I said, that kid's Blood Thunder Emperor sword was given to him by me. Since you've already obtained it, it's yours. However, I still want to tell you something. There's another treasure in the Qin Kingdom's royal family. Although it's also a common grade emperor weapon, it's one of the best in its grade. It's much better than the Blood Thunder Emperor sword. There's actually a weapon better than the Blood Thunder Emperor sword. Will Chen Songxiong get it? Ling Xiao said with a frown. He originally thought that snatching Chen Songxiong's Blood Thunder Emperor sword was equivalent to breaking that guy's fangs. However, it seemed that things weren't as simple as he thought. Of course there is. That weapon is called the Imperial Heaven Sword, and it has always been enshrined in the depths of the royal capital. Only the Thunder Emperor had used it once to deal with me. After that, he had never used it again. I believe that Chen Songxiong will definitely obtain this sword. After all, he is the most outstanding genius of the Qin Kingdom's royal family in so many years. Chen Bai sighed. Once he obtains the Imperial Heaven Sword, it will be difficult for you to fight him with the Blood Thunder Emperor Sword unless you are stronger than him. The dragon cult doesn't have a weapon that can go against the Imperial Heaven Sword? Ling Xiao asked. Yes. However, only the sect leader had the qualifications to be equipped with it. It's the only weapon in the state of Qin that can contend against the Imperial Heaven Sword. It's a demonic sword called the Demonic Dragon Sword. Demon Dragon Sword? Ling Xiao thought that even his black immortal sword and black demon sword would not be able to contend against this demon dragon sword. If he could obtain the demonic dragon sword, he would not lose to Qin Songxiong in terms of weapons. Let's not talk about whether he could use it first. However, he had to obtain such a treasure that could be used as a trump card. Master, what should I do if I want to obtain the demonic dragon sword? Ling Xiao asked. Chun Bai sighed and said, I'm not afraid of you laughing at me. When I founded the dragon cult, it was with the help of the demonic dragon sword that I succeeded. However, the demonic dragon sword returned to the demonic dragon mountain on its own. The demonic dragon mountain is majestic and extremely dangerous. Even if I want to obtain this sword, it is almost impossible. However, if an outstanding disciple can obtain the demonic dragon sword's recognition, they will have a chance to obtain it. How do I do it? Ling Xiao asked directly. It's very simple. First, you have to become an upper disciple of the dragon cult. Chun Bai answered. The dragon cult's disciples are divided into 3 levels: lower, middle, and upper. The lower disciples' cultivation is below the 9th level of hell of the yin-yang realm. The strongest disciples' cultivation is about the same as your current cultivation. The middle disciples' cultivation is between the 10th level of hell of the yin-yang realm to the middle of the 11th level of hell of the yin-yang realm. As for the upper disciples, their cultivation is above the late stage of the 11th level of hell of the yin-yang realm. If you want to become an upper disciple, just becoming my last disciple is not enough. You have to reach that cultivation level. Even if it's me, I cannot be biased. That's not a problem. Ling Xiao nodded. For him, reaching the peak of the 11th level of hell of the yin-yang realm was not a problem. As long as Chen Bai could help him obtain the giant python's demon core, he could start refining pills and remove the seal on his cultivation. Don't be in a hurry to agree. You have to understand that even if you become an upper disciple, you have to become the strongest upper disciple to go to the demonic dragon mountain. Among all the upper disciples, there are a few who have outstanding aptitudes. Although they may not be as good as Qin Songxiong, they are still outstanding. 3 of them have reached the peak of the 11th level of hell of the yin-yang realm. One of them is in seclusion. If he succeeds, he will break through to the 12th level of hell of the yin-yang realm. At that time, you will be even less of a match for him. Master, do you want to look at cultivation level or combat strength? Ling Xiao asked. As long as you become an upper disciple, everything will naturally depend on combat strength. There is only one spot to go to the demonic dragon mountain, and it will be decided through combat. Chun Bai said. Then there's no problem. Ling Xiao could almost defeat Qin Songxiong, let alone those who were weaker than him. Although his cultivation level had dropped greatly, it was only temporary. No problem. You're that confident? Qin Bai smiled. As long as Master can help me get rid of the giant python's demon core, I guarantee that my cultivation will reach the requirements of an upper disciple in less than a month. Ling Xiao said confidently. There's no need to rush. You still have plenty of time. There are still 100 days until the demonic dragon mountain selection. As long as you can reach the requirements in these 100 days, it'll be enough. Qin Bai smiled. Qin Bai didn't feel anything strange about Ling Xiao's confidence. He had witnessed the battle between Ling Xiao and Qin Songxiong with his own eyes. This kid's strength left a deep impression on him. He definitely wouldn't believe it if others said that he could reach the 11th level of hell of the yin-yang realm in 100 days. But he believed what Ling Xiao said. 100 days, it'll be more than enough. Ling Xiao heaved a sigh of relief. In fact, he would sometimes control the speed of his breakthroughs in order to stabilize his cultivation in each realm. If he accelerated his breakthrough, he believed that he could reach the 11th level of hell of the first level of hell in a month. But the cultivation obtained in that way would leave behind hidden dangers. It was better to give himself enough time. The demonic dragon city is just ahead. You still have time to regret it. Don't think that you can do whatever you want just because you're my last disciple. If you think so, you're wrong. Chapter 2704. Although the dragon cult was founded by me, my control over this sect is getting weaker and weaker. Now the dragon cult has 2 vice sect leaders and 3 sect elders, all of whom are coveting my position. It just so happens that their disciples are more outstanding than my disciples. I only accepted Chen Songxiong, but he betrayed me and caused me to be seriously injured for a long time. This gave these guys an opportunity to take advantage of. Once you join the dragon cult, you will have to face their open and covert attacks. If you are afraid, give up now. I can let you become an ordinary dragon cult disciple. Chen Bai looked at the majestic demon dragon city not far away and said earnestly, "That's not necessary." Ling Xiao directly waved his hand and said, "As far as I know, generally martial artists who call themselves demons do things more directly and use strength to determine seniority. As long as I am stronger than them, it's fine, right? Anyway, I have experienced this kind of thing many times. There has never been success without failure. Whoever wants to deal with me, just come. Since I have agreed to become your disciple, I will naturally inherit your hatred and kindness." Well said. Chen Bai had been betrayed before, so he valued the loyalty of a disciple more than anything else. This was also the reason why he had been unable to accept a disciple. Now, Ling Xiao had met his requirements, and Ling Xiao's aptitude was absolutely extraordinary. He was very glad that he was able to find such an outstanding disciple in his lifetime. This meant that Chen Bai's luck had not been used up. Since you are not willing to give up, then at this moment, I will officially accept you as my last disciple. Remember, you're the second disciple I've taken in. The other one, is Chen Songxiong, but he used a fake name, so it's not worth mentioning. In addition, I have a few foster children. Chen Wan is the most outstanding one, but he is a little old and far from being comparable to those geniuses. The other foster children are not as strong as him, so naturally they can't be compared to the most outstanding among the upper disciples. So, once you become an upper disciple, it will be more difficult to get help. Chen Wan and the others can only help you to become a middle disciple. That's enough. Ling Xiao said with a smile. When he first entered the 8 Immortals Mountain, he had also received help from a noble. However, not long after, he was the one helping others. He was well aware of Chen Bai's current situation. He was the leader of the dragon cult, the #1 expert in the Qin nation, someone that even the Thunder Monarch feared. But within the dragon cult, because they didn't have a good successor, they couldn't be happy. His disciples had betrayed him, and his foster children had failed to live up to his expectations. Although he had once used his authority as the sect master to give his adopted sons and daughters some better resources, he had never done so before. He had also done that kind of thing. However, the dragon cult was still a large sect. In addition, the 2 vice sect masters and the 3 clan elders were in cahoots, so he had to consider the consequences. Naturally, he couldn't meddle too much in the affairs of his disciples. Otherwise, the dragon cult would be at war with each other. Ling Xiao, you have to remember one thing. Master can provide you with the resources you need. After all, Master is the sect master of the dragon cult, so I still have this privilege. However, as long as it doesn't involve life and death, Master generally won't interfere in the fights between disciples. Do you understand? Chun Bai stopped. He felt that there were some things that he had to make clear to Ling Xiao in advance. I understand. Once Master takes action, the 3 clan elders and the 2 vice sect masters will definitely not agree. They will also take action. This way, the dragon cult's internal strife will give the Chen nation's royal family a chance. Ling Xiao nodded. As expected, you can be taught. Master is really liking you more and more. Chen Bai laughed loudly and said, How about this? You go to Demonic Dragon City with Chen Wan first. Master will help you get the huge python's demon core. After saying that, he actually turned and left. Perhaps because he was too happy. Ling Xiao wanted to call out to him, but he couldn't make a sound. Ever since I followed foster father, this is the first time I've seen him so happy, Chunwan said with gratification. I can see that foster father really thinks highly of you. As for other things, I won't say them. I just hope that you can truly cherish the relationship between master and disciple. Don't be like Chun Songxiong, who disappointed people. Big brother Chenwan, don't worry. As long as master is good to me, I, Ling Xiao, am a person who knows how to repay kindness. Ling Xiao nodded heavily. All right, let's go. I'll take you to Demonic Dragon City. Chunwan was very happy to hear Ling Xiao's words. Then he led Ling Xiao and Xiao Jin to the gate of Demonic Dragon City. The Demonic Dragon City that the dragon cult built here gave off an aura that was completely different from Thunder City. It seemed that every corner of the city was so ferocious. It really felt like a demonic sect. Above the 4 gates of Demonic Dragon City, there were ferocious demonic dragon statues. With Ling Xiao's eyesight, he naturally knew that those statues were not ordinary. They contained endless mysterious formations. Although they might not be as powerful as the 10 Extremes formation, it wouldn't be easy for someone to break in. Roar! At this moment, the roar of a demonic beast was suddenly heard. It attracted the attention of many people outside Demonic Dragon City. Ling Xiao also looked over and saw that it was a giant bear with pure white fur. There was a young girl sitting on the head of the giant bear. She was about 15 or 16 years old. The girl was wearing a white dress, and she was as beautiful as a little princess. Good heavens, that's a snow bear at the early stage of the 1-star 10 levels of hell. This girl can ride such a demonic beast. Her strength must be extraordinary. She must be a disciple of the dragon cult, right? Those who spoke were all citizens of Demonic Dragon City. Don't think that the dragon cult is a tiger's den. In fact, the dragon cult was based in Demonic Dragon City. The structure of Demonic Dragon City was similar to that of Thunder City. Aside from the demonic dragon palace where the dragon cult members lived, there were still many idle people. Now, there were merchants and warriors who came to Demonic Dragon City to watch the show. These people looked at the girl with envy. After all, it was not easy to become a disciple of the dragon cult. Lu Su, you're back. Just as everyone's eyes were focused on the girl, another person came from afar. This person was riding a demonic beast with the strength of the 1-star 10 levels hell. It was just a ferocious tiger. It was said that as long as one became a disciple of the dragon cult, they would be given a mount. This was the worst mount. However, for a disciple of the middle rank, it was the worst mount. For others, it was simply a luxury. One had to know that a demonic beast with the strength of the 1-star 10 levels hell was even stronger than a warrior with the cultivation of the 1-star 10 levels hell. A warrior with such strength would be considered an absolute powerhouse anywhere in the Qin nation. How could people not be jealous of someone who could ride such a beast? The dragon cult is indeed worthy of being a power that can contend with the Qin nation's royal family. It does have some weight. Seeing this scene, Ling Xiao was even more satisfied with his choice of coming to Demonic Dragon City. Chapter 2705. Brother Ling, you must be joking. If you release your battle pet, they'll all have to look up to it. Chang Wan shook his head and smiled bitterly. He was naturally talking about Xiao Jin. Xiao Jin's cultivation was currently at the middle stage of the 11th level of the Yin-Yang realm. With such terrifying strength, it only needed 1 claw to kill those so-called powerful demonic beasts. Big brother Qinwan, don't misunderstand. Xiao Jin is my good brother, not some battle pet. Moreover, I came to the dragon cult to improve my strength, not to compete. There's no need for that. Ling Xiao said with a smile. It was just a humble remark, but unfortunately it was heard by the girl riding the white bear, Lu Su. Lu Su looked at Ling Xiao and Chen Wan with disdain, and said sarcastically, Senior brother Qinwan, where did you get such a piece of trash? Is our cult master going to adopt another child? It's a pity that these pieces of trash are all useless. Ha ha ha, Sister Lu Su, You've hit the nail on the head. If we want to talk about who makes the most of the jokes in the dragon cult, we'll have to look at the cult master's adopted children. Oh, right. Recently he seems to have taken in a brother called Dark Knight Formless. Unfortunately, he's even more trash. His cultivation is simply unsightly. He's even worse than us inferior disciples. The man riding the tiger next to him laughed heartily. He laughed very complacently. Ling Xiao didn't care about their words at all. After all, there were too many idiots in this world. If you got angry with every idiot, you'd die of anger. However, when he heard the name Dark Knight Formless, he couldn't help but be stunned. Big Brother Chunluan. Did Dark Knight Formless escape from the 8 Immortal City? Ling Xiao hurriedly asked Chunluan. That's right. He once had some connections with the cult master. When he came to the demonic dragon city, he was almost dead. However, he kept shouting for us to protect someone. Unfortunately, he couldn't speak clearly at that time, so we didn't understand. Until now, he's still unconscious and can only live on spirit stones every day. Sigh, how pitiful. Chunluan sighed. Ling Xiao sighed in his heart because he knew that the person High Formless wanted the dragon cult leader to save should be him. Previously, he was still puzzled as to why Black Knight Formless did not appear after he had taken over the 8 Immortals County. Now he understood that his benefactor, who had done him a great favor, was still unconscious at this moment. Big Brother Chunluan, can you bring me to him? Ling Xiao said anxiously. Indeed. Birds of a feather flock together. Trash likes to find trash. The young man said with a smile. Ling Xiao's face was a little gloomy. However, he was worried about Dark Knight's safety, so he didn't bother with that guy. Senior Brother Zhenquan, why waste your breath on a piece of trash? Let's go. We still have an important mission to complete in the city. Lu Su felt that she had met a taciturn person today. It was very boring. Initially, he had wanted to find fault with Zhang Xian, but from the looks of it, there was no reason for him to do so. Chunluan's face was a little ugly. He didn't expect that even these middle disciples wouldn't give him face. It seemed that the prestige of his adoptive father, Chunbai, in the demon dragon religion, seemed to be declining. Especially in the process of attacking the Thunder City this time, his foster father personally went out, but he didn't gain any benefits, and all kinds of rumors spread in the demon dragon religion. Originally, only the upper disciples dared to be disrespectful to him and shunned Bai's foster children. He didn't expect that even the middle disciples would dare to do so now. If it wasn't for his foster father Qinbai's order to not have internal strife, he would have already taught these two a lesson. He took a deep breath and looked at Ling Xiao. You want to see High Formless? I'll take you there. He walked straight toward the city gate. However, the guards at the city gate stopped them. I'm Demon Dragon Envoy Chunluan. Chunluan took out his waist token and said, Demon Dragon Envoy, please come in. The guards looked at the token and didn't make things difficult for him. However, when it was Ling Xiao's turn, several guards stopped him. You can't enter without a token or a demon dragon card. He came with me. He's the cult master's new disciple. Let him in immediately. Chunluan frowned. When the guards heard this, they immediately wanted to let him in. However, a voice came from inside at this time. Funny, you said he's the cult master's new disciple, so he's the cult master's new disciple? What proof do you have? The owner of the voice was wearing a black armor, which was also the dragon cult's theme color. This person didn't look old, but he wasn't weak. He should be one of the stronger middle disciples. Otherwise, he wouldn't be qualified to shout here. Lu Yen. Chunluan frowned. This Lu Yen was the grandson of the third sect elder. How could he encounter such trouble? Senior Brother Chin, I'm sorry. I'm just following the rules. Please don't make things difficult for me. Lu Yen looked at Chunluan. Although his words were polite, there was a hint of ridicule in his eyes. It seems that the cult master of the dragon cult isn't that scary in the eyes of these disciples. A mere middle disciple, a trash existence, dares to question the demon dragon envoy? Are you suspecting the cult master? Without waiting for Chun Luan to speak, Ling Xiao said loudly. Chun Bai was his master now. Someone didn't give his master face and even humiliated his benefactor, He Wuxing. He was tolerant enough. However, sometimes tolerance wasn't the only way. He had to show these people how powerful he was. How dare you talk to senior brother Lu Yan like that? Zhang Quan jumped and cursed. You're the one who's being presumptuous. I'm the dragon cult's cult master, Chun Bai's last disciple. Who do you think you are to talk to me like that? Ling Xiao looked at Zhang Quan with a cold face. He had already given this kid face and didn't say anything. However, this kid still dared to pick on him. It seemed that if a tiger didn't show its might, it would be treated as a sick cat. Zhang Quan, you heard it. This kid doesn't seem to be afraid of you at all. As a middle disciple, are you willing to be insulted by him like that? The young martial artist called Lu Yan looked at Zhang Quan indifferently and said, he didn't seem to be interested in dealing with Ling Xiao, because in his eyes, Ling Xiao was a piece of trash. He didn't have the slightest interest. Of course, this was because he didn't know Ling Xiao's name and didn't know Ling Xiao's identity. Otherwise, he wouldn't dare to be so presumptuous. Don't worry, senior brother Lu Yan. Your position is high, and you can't be bothered to argue with this kid. However, I can't stand this kid's insult. Daring to speak so rudely to me is the same as speaking rudely to the 3 sect elders. It's disrespectful to the dragon cult. I'll definitely let him know what it means to be afraid. At this point, Zhang Quan suddenly leaned forward and jumped off the tiger. Then he raised his palm and slapped towards Ling Xiao's face. This slap wasn't small. One could faintly hear the whistling of the wind. Chapter 2706. Zhang Quan's body swayed slightly as he took a step forward. He raised his palm. Then he suddenly whipped it toward Ling Xiao. It carried an extremely fierce wind. It did not seem like a slap. Instead, it seemed like he wanted to send Ling Xiao flying. It was to show off his powerful strength. Seeing this, Ling Xiao sneered in disdain. He did not make a move, but the electric current on his body suddenly shot out and condensed into an arm in the air. It blocked Zhang Quan's palm as fast as lightning. Zhang Quan's hand instantly felt numbness and pain, and he couldn't swing it anymore. That's right. Ling Xiao's cultivation level had decreased, but his other aspects did not. His body was terrifyingly strong, and his strength was far beyond that of ordinary people, and the even more terrifying power of heaven earth. These were all at the early stage of the 11th level of hell in yin-yang transformation. If there was a decrease, it was only the power of his martial arts technique and the total amount of his inner energy. Did some people really think that Ling Xiao was easy to bully now? Ah! Zhang Quan could not help but scream when he felt the pain in his arm. He grimaced in pain, and his expression was very ugly. He was quite surprised. This kid, who looked like a good-for-nothing, could actually control lightning? However, do you think you can avoid this slap by doing this? What an insignificant skill! Zhang Quan was even more annoyed that he had suffered a loss. In an instant, his aura exploded. Wisps of cold air appeared all over his body. It was like the aura of the coldest winter, about to freeze everything around him into ice. With a roar, he actually shot out an ice arrow from his mouth, directly piercing towards Ling Xiao's face. What a vicious martial arts technique! When everyone saw the situation, they knew that Ling Xiao was in trouble. After all, they were only about 30 centimeters apart. Zhang Quan had also suddenly attacked. How could Ling Xiao block it? However, Ling Xiao's cold smile did not change. Suddenly, a gush of hot magma gushed out of his body. The magma turned into a huge palm and blasted toward the ice arrow. The speed was so fast that many people couldn't even see it clearly. The powerful magma hand easily melted the ice arrow, and with an unstoppable momentum, it blasted towards Zhang Quan. Ling Xiao did not have the habit of being bullied. Since the other party had already made a move, He would not endure the humiliation like Chen Wan. He wanted to fight back. Seeing the giant magma hand approaching, a trace of panic appeared on Zhang Quan's face. However, he was still a disciple of the dragon cult, so he reacted accordingly. In order to resist the lava hand, he had no choice but to take a step back and give up on slapping Ling Xiao. Then he clenched his hands into fists. Ice appeared on his fists, forming a fierce tiger that looked like an ice sculpture. It rushed towards Ling Xiao's lava beast to block it. A terrifying heat wave instantly hit him. The ferocious tiger fist force, which was like an ice sculpture, actually emitted wisps of white gas. Zhang Quan cried bitterly in his heart. How could he miscalculate when he casually picked on a piece of trash? This brat in front of him was clearly not so easy to deal with. He wanted to withdraw his hand, but at this time he had no choice but to fight back. However, at this time he saw Ling Xiao's palm gently raised and then slapped towards his face. He was shocked and shouted, "Thief, how dare you!" As he spoke, he did not care about his face. He stomped his feet and was about to retreat. At this moment, he was already at a complete disadvantage. If he were to be slapped by his opponent again, he would really lose all his face. However, his speed was no match for Ling Xiao's. He took 4 steps back, but the distance between them did not increase at all. Slap! The crisp sound of a slap was heard. At that moment, everyone outside the demonic dragon city was stunned, including the arrogant and despotic Zhang Quan. He was actually slapped, and it was so easily slapped on his face. He could not believe it. He was the one who wanted to slap Ling Xiao. How did it become him being slapped by Ling Xiao? Ling Xiao's strength was not small. This slap directly made Zhang Quan spin several times on the spot. The blood-red palm print on his face was very obvious. A sharp pain came. But this was not the most depressing thing for Zhang Quan. What he was most upset about was that his dignity was completely destroyed by this slap. The pain on his body was still bearable. However, the pain of his dignity could not be healed. With so many people watching, he simply wanted to find a hole to hide in. "You, how dare you hit me?" Zhang Quan still did not understand until now that Ling Xiao actually dared to hit him. He was a middle disciple of the dragon cult. His eyes were blood-red, clearly showing incomparable anger. However, he did not dare to fight back because he was already afraid of Ling Xiao. "Are you an idiot? Previously, you spoke rudely to me. I was too busy with other things and could not be bothered to argue with a petty person like you. However, you actually wanted to hit me. So what if I hit you? As the only last disciple of the cult master, my status is much higher than yours, not to mention hitting you. Even if I kill you, I'm afraid there won't be a problem." Ling Xiao found it funny. He even dared to kill those people from the Qin nation's royal family. A mere middle disciple of the dragon cult was nothing in front of him. He actually dared to say that he dared not hit him? How could he say such idiotic words? Was he naive or really stupid? Get lost. You'd better not block in front of me again. Otherwise, I'll let your blood splatter for 5 steps. As he spoke, Ling Xiao directly flew up and kicked. The speed and strength were much more powerful than the previous slap. With a loud bang, Zhang Quan was kicked out and slammed heavily into the city wall. Hearing the sound of Zhang Quan's body colliding with the city wall, everyone's hearts could not help but tremble. They thought to themselves, this kid is ruthless. Could he really be the last disciple of the dragon cult's cult master, Qinbai? How dare you! The young girl, Lu Su, who was with Zhang Quan, immediately flew into a rage when she saw her companion being beaten. She actually shouted loudly and urged the giant bear under her to attack Ling Xiao. There was a cold glint brewing in Ling Xiao's eyes. "Stop!" At this moment, Chen Wan stood out and blocked in front of Lu Su. He said coldly, "I've already said that this is the cult master's new last disciple. Hitting him is disrespectful to the cult master. Lu Su, do you still want to continue?" "Chen Wan, let's not get involved in a dispute between middle disciples. Our dragon cult's rules clearly state that private fights are allowed. Only those who can survive in such an environment can be considered a true powerhouse. Lu Yen suddenly attacked Chen Wan. Although his cultivation was not as high as Chen Wan's, it was only a small realm difference. Therefore, Chen Wan had no choice but to face his attack seriously. "Big brother Chen Wan, don't worry about me." Ling Zhao's voice sounded in Chen Wan's ears. Chen Wan sighed helplessly. Chapter 2707. Be careful. After saying that, Chen Wan rushed towards Lu Yen. In order to prevent Lu Yen from attacking Ling Xiao, his choice was quite wise. Just as Chen Wan stepped aside, Lu Su ordered the white bear to charge over. That huge body standing in front of Ling Xiao was like a giant, and Ling Xiao was just a small dwarf. "Sister Lu Su, let me help you." Zhang Quan, who was beaten up by Ling Xiao to the point that he couldn't get up, was filled with resentment. At this moment, he didn't care about the cult leader. He only had one thought, and that was to kill Ling Xiao. He couldn't move himself, so he controlled the fierce tiger to pounce on Ling Xiao. One in front and one behind, two demonic beasts with the combat strength of the early stage of the 11th level of hell. In addition, Lu Su's cultivation was not weaker than the two demonic beasts. In everyone's opinion, Ling Zhao's situation was very bad. "You're courting death." A sinister cold light flashed in Ling Zhao's eyes. Then his hand suddenly shook. Everyone could only see two sharp, blood-red lights flashing in the void before disappearing. Then, the two demonic beasts fell into a pool of blood. They could only breathe out, not in. Lu Su was directly thrown off by the white bear. She looked at Ling Xiao with incomparable horror. She didn't see clearly what had happened just now. However, she could feel how terrifying that sharp sword chi was. So this guy is a swordsman. What a terrifying sword chi. What a fast sword light. This time, the dragon cult leader has probably picked up a treasure. Although this kid's cultivation isn't strong now, he's definitely a peerless genius to be able to challenge those of a higher level. Even if he's not stronger than the warring prince, Qin Songxiong, he's definitely stronger than the others. Waves of exclamations came from the crowd. Ling Zhao's performance greatly satisfied their curiosity and expectations. Sometimes, people like to lean towards the weak. However, Ling Xiao, this weakling, seemed to be pretending. "You!" Lu Su and Zhang Quan shouted at the same time. Their expressions were extremely terrified. "You'd better keep your mouth shut. Otherwise, you too will be the ones to die next time." Ling Xiao coldly glanced at the two of them. After he spoke, both Lu Su and Zhang Quan shut their mouths. Although he was furious, he couldn't hide the fear in his eyes. They were arrogant and rude, but because they were weaker than others and because they were afraid of death, they were timid. I thought the disciples of the three great elders would be very powerful, but now it seems that they are just trash who can't withstand the test. You keep saying that others are trash. Now you've been taught a lesson, right? Seeing Ling Xiao defeat Zhang Quan and Lu Su, Chen Wan felt the anger in her heart dissipate. She couldn't help but mock him. Zhang Quan and Lu Su both wanted to slap Ling Xiao. However, they were easily defeated by Ling Xiao. He didn't even dare to say a word. This was a total loss of face. "Humph, you two pieces of trash. Why aren't you scramming to the side? You're really making our sect master proud." Lu Yen had already stopped fighting with Chen Wan. His face was a little pale. Lu Su was his cousin, and Zhang Quan was his grandfather's disciple. However, today's performance was really unsatisfactory. In the past, they were the ones suppressing the sect master's faction. Now, it seemed that the sect master was suppressing them. Trash who only knows how to hide behind others and instigate others. "You were the one who asked Zheng Quan to slap me, right?" Suddenly, Ling Xiao looked at Lu Yan. His eyes were filled with disdain and sarcasm. Lu Yan's self-righteous look was really disgusting. Hearing this, the surrounding discussions instantly stopped. Even Chen Wan looked at Ling Xiao in shock. She smiled bitterly in her heart. Was this guy provoking Lu Yan? Lu Yan was not like Zheng Quan and Lu Su, those two trash. He was a top existence among the middle disciples. Chun Wan was worried for Ling Xiao. Although Ling Xiao had turned the tables and defeated the warring prince, Qin Songxiong. However, for some reason, his cultivation had dropped to the peak of the 9th level of hell. It was absolutely impossible to win against Lu Yan with this cultivation. The gap was too big. Kid, are you courting death? If I were to make a move, would you still be so arrogant? The reason why Lu Yan wasn't willing to make a move personally was that he was cunning enough. He already believed that Ling Xiao was the last disciple of the dragon cult's sect master, Qin Bai, even if he had enough strength to make Ling Xiao kneel and beg for mercy. He didn't dare to make a move easily, because once he made a move, it was very likely that it would cause trouble. Zhang Quan and Lu Su, those two idiots, didn't understand, but he was very clear. I've already experienced your eloquence. It's indeed very powerful. But as for your ability, hee. Ling Xiao looked at Zheng Quan and Lu Su with contempt. His eyes were filled with sarcasm. Trash! Have you thought about the consequences of angering me? Lu Yan was really angry. Previously, he could still calmly think about the consequences of making a move. But now he felt that he couldn't hold it in anymore. This Ling Xiao really knew how to make people angry. Idiot, then have you thought about the consequences of calling me trash? Ling Xiao took a step forward, past Chen Wan, and stood in front of Lu Yan. A powerful aura surged from his body as if he was going to start a fight with Lu Yan. Lu Yan narrowed his eyes and suddenly laughed out loud. Trash! What right do you have to make me make a move? I was born noble. I was originally a noble of the Chen nation. Now, I'm the grandson of the dragon cult's 3rd sect elder. When I reincarnated, I was 21 years old and raised my cultivation to the peak of the 10th level of hell, regardless of background, or talent, or my current strength. I'm stronger than you. Tell me a reason. You trash. What right do you have to be so arrogant in front of me? If it weren't for Chun Wan, do you think you would still be standing there now? Ling Xiao sneered disdainfully. Haha, so this is the so-called genius? When I reincarnated, I was only in a remote town like Yuhua Town. I couldn't get any good cultivation resources, but I relied on my own efforts. When I reincarnated, my cultivation far surpassed yours at the age of 17. I even defeated the warring prince, Qin Songxiong. In front of me, you're not even trash. You're just a fart. Ling Xiao stood there with an imposing aura. Many people couldn't help but praise him. This person's personality was really similar to the dragon cult's sect master, Qin Bai, when he was young. He was like an incomparably sharp, peerless demon sword. No one dared to rashly touch his edge. Hearing Ling Xiao's words, it was as if a pot had exploded outside demonic Dragon City. It instantly became lively. No way, he said. He defeated the warring prince Qin Songxiong? Is that possible? Could he be that Ling Xiao who's been making a name for himself recently? No wonder the sect master accepted him as his last disciple. So it's him. Chapter 2708. Fortunately, they're from the same sect. Otherwise, Zheng Quan and Lu Su might have lost their lives. I heard that Ling Xiao is now ranked 1st on the volcano evil list. He's ranked higher than the cult master because of his actions in Thunder City. But I didn't expect him to defeat Qin Songxiong. Zheng Quan and Lu Su's faces turned pale. All kinds of rumors about Ling Xiao had already spread in the dragon cult. And this Ling Xiao's battle record had shocked countless disciples of the dragon cult. Now, this person was standing in front of them, but he was their enemy. Impossible. You're just bragging. Even if you're Ling Xiao, I don't believe you can defeat Qin Songxiong. Lu Yan suddenly yelled. He's not bragging. I saw the whole process. If it weren't for him, I would have been killed by Qin Songxiong. The cult master also saw the shocking scene of Ling Xiao overturning Qin Songxiong. Otherwise, Why do you think the cult master would choose him as his last disciple? Chen Wan looked at Lu Yen and said sarcastically, "You're used to being a tyrant. Today, you know that there's always someone better, right?" "Humph, who would believe your words? What proof do you have?" Lu Yen naturally didn't want to believe Chen Wan's words. He coldly snorted and said, "I say, senior brother Chin, you don't have to make up such a ridiculous reason for him, right?" Boom! Suddenly, a blood-red sword appeared in Ling Xiao's hand. "You want proof? Blood Thunder Imperial Sword, do you recognize it?" Ling Xiao looked at Lu Yen with contempt. He looked down on this kind of trash who only knew how to fight among themselves. If you have the ability, go fight with the Qin Kingdom's royal family. Fight with your enemy. That's right. That's really the Blood Thunder Imperial Sword. Exclamations broke out from the crowd. I've seen Chen Songxiong use this sword before. It's exactly the same, and there's no difference in the aura. In this world, it's impossible for two swords to be exactly the same. I've seen it too. What a guy. Did this Ling Xiao really defeat Chen Songxiong? Then his cultivation on the surface should be fake, right? Definitely. There are some black-bellied martial artists in this world who like to pretend to be a pig to eat a tiger. Maybe he is one of them. Everyone was discussing animatedly. They had already praised Ling Xiao to the heavens. At this moment, even Lu Yen no longer dared to make a move against Ling Xiao. Even if the leader of the dragon cult, Qin Bai, did not care about this matter, he had no confidence in defeating Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao, this fellow, was much stronger than he had imagined. "Don't worry, I won't bully you because you're no match for me." Ling Xiao looked at Lu Yan's fearful appearance and could not help sneering coldly as he said, "But you were disrespectful to me, so I still have to punish you slightly. If you can defeat my little friend Xiao Jin, then today's matter will be written off." He gently stroked Little Gold's head. Xiao Jin let out two chirps. This caused Lu Yan's face to turn ashen to the extreme. "You dare to insult me like this? Even if you're stronger than me, you can't use a bird to mock me." He felt that he had been looked down upon and insulted. No, you misunderstood. If Xiao Jin were to make a move, I'm afraid you wouldn't even be able to block a single move. So don't feel that you're being looked down upon. On the contrary, I value you very much. Ling Xiao shook his finger and said with a smile, although he could not kill people the moment he arrived, he could give these guys a show of strength and let them know that he, Ling Xiao, was not someone to be trifled with. This way, he could prevent some people from finding trouble with him. Only then would he have more time to cultivate. Then I'll kill him first. I'll let you understand that I, Lu Yen, am not to be insulted. Lu Yen roared angrily and released his martial spirit behind him. It was actually a dark green snake. The snake spat out its tongue and released an incomparably evil aura. So, it's a snake martial spirit. I've seen a few people with it. One of my friends also has a snake martial spirit, but he's much better than you. Ling Xiao looked at Lu Yan's martial spirit and said with a faint smile, "Even if you use your martial spirit, it's useless. In front of Xiao Jin, it's just an insignificant little bug. Xiao Jin, don't be too ruthless. Just teach him a lesson. After all, we're from the same sect." Ling Xiao said softly. As soon as he finished speaking, Xiao Jin suddenly turned into a golden light and pounced towards Lu Yen. It did not even change back to the round shape of a huge golden crow. It was just a palm-sized bird. "You're courting death," Lu Yen sneered. Ling Xiao actually looked down on him so much and actually used such a palm-sized bird to deal with him. This made him feel as if his heart was about to explode from the flames of anger. He didn't just want to kill Xiao Jin. He wanted Xiao Jin to die an ugly death. Suddenly he punched out. This fist was like a giant python spiraling forward, releasing a terrifying pressure like a giant beast. But at that moment, Lu Yen suddenly shuddered. It was not because of the cold. It was because of extreme fear. He felt the terrifying aura released by the palm-sized bird that could destroy the world. That aura seemed to be able to completely melt his entire body, leaving no trace behind. He even had the illusion that his body was being burned crazily in the raging fire, and he could only scream, unable to resist at all. No, how is this possible? I'm actually not a match for this bird. It turns out that I'm not even as good as a beast, and I still want to defeat its master? At this moment, Lu Yen fell into an incomparable feeling of despair and defeat. Facing the attack of the golden bird, he completely lost the courage to resist, because no matter how he resisted, it seemed that he could not avoid death in the end. This kind of feeling, although it took a long time to describe, actually happened in an instant. The surrounding people did not feel anything, and even felt that it was a little funny. They really did not understand why Ling Xiao sent a golden bird to deal with Lu Yen. But at this moment, Lu Yen had already felt the burning pain. It was as if his fist had been thrown into a terrifying inferno. He could feel his skin being burned and his bones being melted. Ah! He burst out an earth-shattering scream. But in the eyes of the bystanders, they did not quite understand. Because the golden bird did not attack Lu Yen, but stopped about a foot in front of Lu Yen, flapping its wings. Lu Yen held his head and screamed in pain. Because of excessive fear, he actually had hallucinations, and because of the terrifying pressure released by Xiao Jin, he fell into a state of chaos. I didn't expect that you're more useless than I thought. Xiao Jin, come back. Ling Xiao waved his hand, and Xiao Jin flew back to his shoulder. And at this time, Lu Yen also recovered from the chaos, but the first thing he heard was, "Being scared by my little friend to the point of being unable to distinguish between illusion and reality. A martial artist like you is really laughable. Aristocrat, Grandmaster's grandson, outstanding talent, stronger than me. Don't you think that your words have become the biggest joke in the world?" Chapter 2709. At this moment, the people who had looked down on Ling Xiao with arrogant eyes and insulted Ling Xiao with vicious words did not feel good. Whether it was Lu Yen, Zheng Quan, Lu Su, or the other disciples of the elders' camp, they all lowered their heads. They said that Ling Xiao was trash and wanted to see Ling Xiao make a fool of himself. However, at this moment, Ling Xiao defeated Zheng Quan and Lu Su. Lu Yen was so scared that he was hallucinating. He was still trembling in fear. If Ling Xiao was trash, then what were they? Were they worse than trash? Brother Qinwan, I heard that the elders' disciples are all outstanding. But now, it seems that is not the case. Ling Xiao said lightly. Even the 3 elders were being sarcastic. Shut up! As soon as Ling Xiao finished speaking, a terrifying aura suddenly came from the demonic dragon city. An old man broke through the air and appeared above the city gate. Chan Wan hurriedly stood in front of Ling Xiao and said in a low voice, "This is the 3rd elder. His strength is about the same as the Chen Kingdom's royal family's General Purple Thunder. You are definitely no match for him now. Don't fight him head-on." Ling Xiao did not answer. Whether or not he would fight him head-on would depend on the other party's attitude. He had even killed General Purple Thunder. This 3rd elder was actually not that scary. With his and Xiao Jin's combined strength, it was not impossible to kill this guy. Seeing the 3rd elder come in person, all the discussions immediately quieted down. Although the 3rd elder's strength was the weakest of the 3 elders, in the eyes of others, he was still unattainable. Even the upper disciples had to give him some face, let alone the middle disciples. The 3rd elder looked coldly at Ling Xiao, then at Lu Yen. "Trash, how did I teach you? At the crucial moment, you were scared to death by a beast." His words did not leave any face for Lu Yen. "Raise your head like a man. Don't lower your head." Lu Yen raised his head and looked at the 3rd sect elder with fear and trepidation. This was his grandfather and at the same time his teacher. Today he was scared to death by a bird in front of so many people. Not only did he embarrass himself, but he also embarrassed his grandfather. Grandfather! Lu Yen did not dare to look directly at the 3rd elder. He could only lower his head and call out, "Shut up!" You still have the face to call me grandfather? We don't have trash like you in our family. The third elder coldly snorted. Obviously, compared to Ling Zhao's words, he was more concerned about Lu Yan being frightened to such an extent. Grandfather, you're right. Grandson has indeed brought shame to our ancestors. No matter what the third elder said, Lu Yan did not dare to talk back. Humiliated, without a firm martial artist's heart, no matter how strong one's talent was, no matter how good your martial skills are, when you encounter a setback, you will only know how to fear and not move forward. You will never rise again. However, people with strong hearts have the heart of a powerhouse. They are fearless. This kind of person is the one who can truly achieve great things in the martial way. It doesn't matter if you lose. No one is an ever victorious general. Victory and defeat are common in the martial family. The key is to learn from failure and become stronger. Do you understand? After all, he was his grandfather. After a blow, his voice was so loud that even the deaf could hear. Hearing these words, Lu Yan's chaotic heart instantly calmed down. Yes, losing did not mean death. As long as he was alive, there was still a chance. Grandfather, I understand. I won't do this again. Lu Yan took a deep breath, bent his waist to 90 degrees, and solemnly bowed to his grandfather. It's good that you understand. Stand by the side. Your matter is settled. But this brat's matter is not. Who gave him the guts to slander my dragon cult's elder? The third elder looked at Ling Xiao. His powerful aura pounced on Ling Xiao like a ferocious beast. He wanted to let Ling Xiao have a taste of the enormous pressure his grandson had endured. He wanted to make Ling Xiao hallucinate and feel embarrassed. Unfortunately, from the beginning, this idea was not going to be realized. Ling Xiao's cultivation level had dropped, but his state of mind had not. His aura was even stronger than the third elder's. However, Ling Xiao had to admit that the third elder was indeed somewhat awe-inspiring. With just a few words, he was able to restore Lu Yan's mind and make him stronger. He was saved from sinking into the quagmire. This was definitely not something that an ordinary person could do. Brat, I'm asking you, how dare you trespass into the demonic dragon city? The third elder stared at Ling Xiao. He was a little surprised that his powerful aura could not make this brat submit. This made him very dissatisfied. Thus, his voice rose a few notches. Ling Xiao found it funny. Trespassing into the demonic dragon city? Did this old thing really think that the demonic dragon envoy, Chunwan, did not exist? Trespassing? This was really a case of if you want to condemn someone, you can always find a pretext. Third elder. This person is the cult leader's new disciple. I personally brought him here, so he is not trespassing. Chan Luan also frowned. Shut up. You're just a demonic dragon envoy. You have no right to speak here. Perhaps the third elder was used to being arrogant, but he did not give Chan Luan any face at all. One had to know that in terms of cultivation level, Chan Luan was actually on par with the third elder. Of course, in terms of combat strength, the gap between Chan Luan and the third elder was quite big. This was a matter of experience. Even so, the third elder did not give Chan Luan any face. This was obviously not giving face to the dragon cult's cult leader, Chen Bai. As the saying goes, before you beat a dog, you have to look at its master. Chen Luan was Chen Bai's adopted son. Boy, this old man is asking you a question. Why did you trespass into the demonic dragon city? You even injured my dragon cult's disciple. Do you really think that my dragon cult has no one? Ignoring Chen Luan, the third elder looked at Ling Xiao and questioned him in a very manic tone. Hearing this, the martial artists who belonged to the elder's faction and the vice sect secretly became friendly. Although the elder's faction and the vice sect were two factions, they were actually only united to fight against the cult leader's faction. After all, although the cult leader's disciple did not make any progress, his cultivation level was too high. If they did not join forces, it would be impossible. When the martial artists of these two factions saw that Ling Xiao was going to be unlucky, they were so happy that they almost wanted to dance. On the other hand, the disciples of the cult leader's faction were very unhappy. The third elder was clearly trying to confuse right and wrong. He wanted to find an excuse to deal with Ling Xiao. This was not even giving face to the cult leader. They could not help much. They could only hope that Chen Wan would be able to fight the third elder for a while. Ling Xiao looked at the third elder. He had thought that he was someone important, but he did not expect him to be a pile of shit. It was really smelly. Chapter 27:10. Ling Xiao sneered and said, "Third elder? I've long heard that the elders are all arrogant and domineering. They don't take the disciples of the sect master seriously. Even the sect master himself doesn't take them seriously. I thought it was just a rumor and couldn't be taken seriously. Now it seems that it's true. I've said more than once that I'm the sect master's new disciple. Even the demon dragon envoy Chinwan can testify. How dare you twist the truth and accuse me of trespassing in the demon dragon city? I'd like to ask, what are your intentions? Do you want to rebel? Do you want to replace the sect master? How dare you?" Ling Xiao's words obviously hit the third elder's sore spot. He naturally couldn't let Ling Xiao continue. "You said you're the sect master's last disciple, but I'm the elder of the dragon cult. Let's not talk about the fact that you don't look like a good person. So what if you're the sect master's last disciple? Even the sect master has to give me some face, let alone you. Kneel down now and admit your mistake, and I'll let you go alive." Hee, what a big tone. It's indeed a world where strength is respected. Without strength, even if you have reason, you'll be unreasonable. And those who are strong can call a deer a horse, distort the truth, and even create something out of nothing to accuse others of wrongdoing. Ling Xiao sighed in his heart. Although he had encountered many things before, he had confirmed this fact time and time again. He always hoped that this world would not be so realistic and despairing. Unfortunately, things didn't go as he wished. The third elder in front of him obviously wouldn't reason with him at all. Perhaps he had already been nearby. But he didn't show up because he thought that Lu Yan could easily deal with Ling Xiao. Even if Ling Xiao was killed, he wouldn't say a word. He wouldn't even show his face. But now, Ling Xiao was just scaring Lu Yan and didn't even hurt him. This old thing actually came out to accuse him of trespassing in the demon dragon city and harming a dragon cult disciple. This was really a big accusation. He was simply looking for trouble. How preposterous! "Third elder, you've gone too far. I think I need to remind you that the dragon cult belongs to the sect leader, not you. Don't forget your place. He is the last disciple, personally selected by the sect master. You actually want him to kneel down and apologize. You even want him to scram. Aren't you afraid that the sect master will blame you if he finds out?" Chan Wan really couldn't listen to it anymore. He was already used to being insulted, so he didn't feel anything. However, the third elder's words were getting more and more ridiculous. It was obvious that he was not even giving face to the supreme headmaster. How could he tolerate this? "This old man told you to shut up. Don't you understand? Not to mention that the sect master is not here. Even if the sect master was here, this old man would still dare to teach you a lesson in front of him. Do you believe me?" The third elder was extremely overbearing. Chen Wan still wanted to say something, but was stopped by Ling Xiao. "Big brother Chen Wan, there's no need to reason with him. This old thing clearly doesn't even put my master in his eyes. If we push them too far, they might just kill both of us." When he said this, Ling Xiao's tone was somewhat provocative. He believed that although the third elder seemed impudent, he definitely wouldn't dare to kill him. Otherwise, it would be the same as declaring war on Qinbai. Before they completely controlled the dragon cult, the elders and vice-elders wouldn't dare to do such a thing. "Don't worry, this old man won't kill you. However, I will cripple your cultivation. When you become a cripple, I'd like to see if the sect master will still protect you." The third elder's eyes revealed a cruel expression. It was as if he was saying that it was as easy as killing a chicken. He didn't take Ling Xiao seriously at all. Crippling Ling Xiao was just a show for Qin Bai. He wanted to test Qin Bai's bottom line. He knew that Ling Xiao's talent was outstanding. Because of this, he wanted to eliminate this scourge as soon as possible. Otherwise, with this kid's help, Qin Bai's power would increase greatly. At that time, it would be even more difficult for them to suppress the sect master faction. In any case, the current Ling Xiao was too weak. As long as he wanted to, he could casually crush this kid to death. Not only would this suppress Ling Xiao, but it would also weaken the sect master faction's power. Why not? Cripple my cultivation? What a domineering way of saying it. I'd like to see how you're going to cripple me. Ling Xiao's expression turned cold and indifferent. The dragon cult was indeed worthy of being a dragon cult. This way of doing things was indeed like a devil. This third elder was simply too domineering. He killed and crippled people as he pleased without considering the consequences. He also didn't care about the feelings of others. So what if you're talented? So what if you've had a brilliant experience? You're not one of my people. If you refuse to submit to me, you must pay the price. Either I kill you, or I destroy you. It really lived up to the saying, those who obey me prosper. Those who resist me perish. Therefore, the weak in the mystic world were all very miserable, especially those ordinary people. They were like ants on the road. Perhaps one day, if they encountered a powerhouse in a bad mood, thousands of them would die. Sometimes those powerhouses even killed these ordinary people, but they didn't feel anything at all. Fortunately, Ling Xiao wasn't an ordinary person. On the contrary, he was very strong. Moreover, he had a powerful brother called Xiao Jin. He also had a powerful consummate skill that defied the heavens. It wouldn't be that easy for the third elder to cripple him. Ha ha ha, Lu Lao Sen. Who are you trying to cripple? Should I give up my position as sect master to you? Suddenly, a loud laughter came from afar. Amidst the laughter, the third elder's face turned pale, and blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. Qin Bai had returned. As soon as he appeared, he gave the third elder a show of strength. He actually injured him with just his internal force. When they saw Qin Bai, the crowd suddenly boiled over. The sect master of the dragon cult, Qin Bai, was the person who single-handedly created the dragon cult. He was also known as the strongest martial artist in the state of Qin. How could such a person not make people sigh in admiration? How could people not admire him? Of course, at the same time, these people began to confirm that Ling Xiao wasn't lying. He really had caught the eye of sect master Qin Bai and was going to be taken in as his last disciple. He really is the real Ling Xiao. The sect master wants to nurture him into a powerhouse who can fight against Qin Songxiong. It seems so. Although Ling Xiao might have defeated Qin Songxiong, it should be just an accident. If they meet again, it won't be so easy. So he needs the sect master's help. And the sect master just happens to need someone to clean up the sect for him. Everyone was very surprised, especially Zhen Quan, Lu Su, and Lu Yan, who had mocked Ling Xiao before. Their expressions weren't very good. They had repeatedly said that Ling Xiao couldn't be the last disciple of sect master Qin Bai. My good disciple, I've let you suffer. It seems that some people really think that I've turned from a fierce tiger into a cat after not acting out for so many years. Qin Bai looked at Ling Xiao and said with a smile, "You rest assured, the grievances that you've suffered, Master will seek justice for you." Chapter 27:11. Did you hear that? Lu Lao San, apologize to my obedient disciple. Don't force my hand. Qin Bai looked coldly at the third elder. He had already decided in his heart that he would do whatever it took to cultivate this disciple. At the very least, this disciple would not be bullied when he joined the sect. Hearing that, everyone was shocked. They could not believe what they had just heard. The sect leader wanted the third elder to apologize for Ling Xiao. That was simply unbelievable. Ling Xiao was very calm about that. As the sect leader's disciple, He had to have some privileges. He could not be bullied by the elders the moment he arrived. Chen Bai wanted to teach the elders and Vice sect a lesson by killing the chicken to warn the monkey. Sect leader. The third elder's face was gloomy. He looked at Chen Bai with some unwillingness in his eyes. You still know that I'm the sect leader? Chen Bai looked coldly at the third elder and said, Do you want to apologize yourself, or do you want me to do it? The third elder's old face was so red that it looked like it was going to bleed. However, he could feel that Chen Bai was really angry today. If he did not apologize, he would have to bear the wrath of the sect leader. Gritting his teeth, he looked at Ling Xiao and said casually, I'm sorry. I was rude just now. You call that an apology? Don't be perfunctory. Be more sincere. Chen Bai frowned. He was very dissatisfied with the third elder's casual attitude. A terrifying aura instantly enveloped the third elder, causing him to tremble violently. The onlookers were even more surprised. This Ling Xiao was truly impressive to be able to make the sect leader go to such lengths for him. It seemed that Ling Xiao's talent was really outstanding. Otherwise, why would the sect leader treat him like this? After all, the third elder was a noble in the past. He had worked hard with Chen Bai until now. He had a very high status in the dragon cult. Now, Chen Bai actually wanted him to apologize to Ling Xiao. This was truly inconceivable. Sect leader, this old man is still the third elder of the dragon cult. Even if I didn't contribute anything to the dragon cult, I still worked hard. You can't treat me like this. The third sect elder gritted his teeth and said with an ugly expression, Humph, it's because I've been too arrogant, that's why you're so arrogant. You even dare to humiliate my last disciple. Don't you know what it means to be a last disciple? Slapping his face is the same as slapping my face. The first rule of the dragon cult was that those who humiliated the cult leader would die. I'm not going to kill you. I'm just asking you to apologize. Don't tell me that I've wronged you. Chen Bai snorted coldly, not giving the third clan elder any face. In the past, because he didn't have a good successor, he felt that he didn't have much to aspire to, so he was somewhat accommodating to the elders and Vice sect. This led to the sect masters, sect being bullied too much. But now that he had Ling Xiao, he had a new aspiration. Since the third sect elder dared to provoke him, he had no choice but to use the third sect elder as a tool to deal with him. The third sect elder could feel Chen Bai's cold killing intent, and his body trembled violently. Although he was unwilling and humiliated, he could only look at Ling Xiao and bow respectfully. My apologies, this old man wasn't fair enough and bullied the weak. I hope young hero won't take it to heart. This time, at least on the surface, his attitude was very sincere. The third sect elder bowed to Ling Xiao. Chen Bai then looked at Ling Xiao and asked, Good disciple, what do you think? If you're not satisfied, I can make him pay a bigger price. Forget it. It's good enough that the sect elder bowed to me. I, Ling Xiao, am not the kind of person who doesn't show mercy. I just hope that this kind of thing won't happen again. Today's matter will be written off. What could Ling Xiao do? He couldn't let Chen Bai kill the third sect elder, right? If that happened, the dragon cult would really start to fight among themselves. Anyway, the third sect elder didn't do anything to him, so this matter was dropped. Not to mention, he was anxious to see his benefactor. He Wuxing didn't have the heart to do so. Good. Since you're satisfied, that's good. Here's the python's demon core you wanted. I've brought it for you. Chen Bai took out a demon core that shone with a red light. There was a faint smell of sandalwood on it. Yes, this is it. Thank you, master. Ling Xiao was very grateful. If it wasn't for Chen Bai, he wouldn't have been able to get this level of demon core. With this item, his sealed 160 days of cultivation could be completely undone. This was the benefit of having a backer. Let's go. Follow me into the demonic dragon city. Chen Bai led Ling Xiao and Chen Wan into the demonic dragon city. The internal structure of the demonic dragon city wasn't much different from the Thunder City. Only the demonic palace in the central area looked somewhat sinister and terrifying. The overall shape of the palace was actually like an angry demon, which was quite symbolic. Inside, they found that it was actually a place of birds and flowers. It wasn't as sinister and terrifying as the outside. Perhaps it was because the things that happened outside had already spread inside. When Chen Bai and the other two walked on the road, the people were all respectful. They either knelt down or bowed to salute. After they walked away, they began to talk about Ling Xiao. Is he Ling Xiao? What a handsome young man. Handsome, I ass. He's not even as handsome as me. It's just that rumor has it that he defeated General Purple Thunder. I don't know if it's true or not. It must be true about General Purple Thunder. Several demonic dragon envoys saw it. The most unbelievable thing is that he actually defeated the warring prince Chen Songxiong and even snatched his blood thunder imperial sword. Tisk, I heard that the sect leader is going to accept this kid as his disciple. Just now outside the city, he even forced the third sect elder to apologize to this new disciple. The sect leader hasn't shown his power for a long time. This time, I'm afraid he's really going to reorganize the dragon cult. Everyone was discussing and speculating. However, they didn't quite understand Ling Xiao's cultivation. This guy looks like he's only at the peak of the 9th level of hell. How could he defeat General Purple Thunder? That's right. This is also what I don't understand. You should know that he easily defeated Zhen Quan and Lu Su outside the city. It's really unbelievable. His pet is also very powerful. It actually scared Lu Yen to the point that he almost peed his pants. Ha ha ha. No wonder the third sect elder flipped out. This is too embarrassing. Hearing such discussions, Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Wherever there were people, there would be fights. In this world, there were no existences that had transcended the mortal world. Even his master, Chen Bai, was an ordinary person. However, Ling Xiao liked ordinary people. Only ordinary people had emotions and desires and could be truly trusted. Moreover, in a place like the dragon cult, although the martial artists outside had some misunderstandings about him. Chapter 27:12. Chen Bai glanced at Ling Xiao when they arrived at the grand hall of the demon palace. Yi Wuxing is currently undergoing treatment and shouldn't be disturbed. Bear with it for a while. I'll introduce you to the upper echelons of the sect. After that, it'll be easier for you to do whatever you want. Otherwise, without a proper status, it'll be difficult for you to do anything. I'll listen to Master's instructions. Ling Xiao knew that some things couldn't be rushed. Although he was worried about Yi Wuxing, he still had to bear with it when it was necessary. Okay, Chen Wan, go and inform the 2 vice sect masters, 3 sect elders, 9 elders, and the 13 highest-ranking demon dragon envoys, including the branch leaders in Demon Dragon City. They'll all come here. Father will announce that I've accepted Ling Xiao as my disciple in front of them. Chen Bai looked at Chen Wan and said, Yes, Godfather. Chen Wan accepted the order and left. Chen Bai let Ling Xiao sit beside him and warned, Disciple, although Master suppressed the third sect elder for you today, I'm afraid you'll have a hard time in the future. You can ignore the others for now, but the 3 sect elders and the 2 vice sect masters are all important figures in the sect. Under normal circumstances, they won't provoke Master. Master also won't provoke them and maintains a delicate balance. But today, Master broke this balance for you, so they'll definitely do something. You must be careful. Bear with it. After all, Master can't protect you all the time. Master, what are the cultivation levels of those 5 people? Ling Xiao didn't reply to Chen Bai. Instead, he asked, You've seen the third sect elder. His strength is about the same as General Purple Thunder. The second sect elder's strength is about the same as the Thunder Severed Elder. The first sect elder is about the same as the Thunder Monarch. They're both very powerful. As for the 2 vice sect masters, they're experts in the first revolution of the Yin-Yang realm. Even the 5 elders behind the Chen Nation might not be able to defeat them. Once the 5 of them join forces, Master will have a headache. Under normal circumstances, Master won't touch them easily. Qin Bai replied, "If that's the case, what if they don't agree with Master's plan to accept disciples?" Ling Xiao asked. "Humph. I'm the leader of the dragon cult, after all. Although I sometimes give in to them in order to maintain balance, I've already made my decision on this matter. How can I allow them to interfere?" Chen Bai coldly snorted and said, "You can rest assured. Even if they target you, they can only do things according to the rules. They won't dare to act recklessly." Ling Xiao understood what he meant. Even if the 3 sect elders and the 2 vice sect leaders wanted to deal with him, they wouldn't dare to do it openly. However, they would definitely make use of some things to deal with him behind his back. However, what did he have to fear? Since someone wanted to play with him, he would play with them. In any case, he was most afraid of not having a worthy opponent. The more opponents he had, the faster his cultivation would improve. This was definitely a good thing for him, not a bad thing at all. Before long, most of the people that Chen Bai had gathered had already arrived. Only the 2 vice sect leaders and the 3 sect elders had yet to arrive. Ling Xiao knew that they were pressuring Chen Bai. He noticed that his master Chen Bai's expression wasn't very good. He reckoned that someone was going to be unlucky later. Anyone who dared to provoke Chen Bai at this time was really asking for a beating. The people who came all looked curiously at Ling Xiao, who was sitting beside Chen Bai. They were puzzled. Chen Bai was the sect leader, and he actually allowed Ling Xiao to sit on the same level as him. Did this mean that Ling Xiao had already been selected by Chen Bai as the future sect leader of the dragon cult? Wasn't this a little too fast? These people didn't dare to say anything. They were all discussing in private through soul telepathy. This is the rumored Ling Xiao that even King Qin couldn't deal with? His cultivation doesn't seem to be strong. Maybe he's hiding his strength. After all, he defeated General Purple Thunder. I'm afraid we can't see through him. Is the sect leader really going to accept him as a disciple? Of course. Otherwise he wouldn't have gathered us. The sect leader hasn't found any good disciples for so many years. Now that he's met this treasure, he should hurry up and seize it. I'm afraid that the 3 sect elders won't give face to the sect leader later. If this little guy makes a fool of himself in front of everyone, the sect leader will be embarrassed. I don't think so. Since this little guy can defeat General Purple Thunder, he must be special. The 3 sect elders are very strong, but they don't dare to fight in front of the sect leader. It must be the pressure of momentum. This little guy should be able to hold on. Whether he can hold on or not, we'll know later. After a long time, the 3 sect elders finally arrived. Chen Bai's eyes were filled with coldness. He knew that he had indulged his subordinates too much over the years, which led to their disrespect. The 3 sect elders probably thought that Chen Bai was not as brave as he used to be. Ling Xiao raised his head and looked at the 3 sect elders. Ling Xiao knew the 3rd sect elder. He was about 50 years old, short and fat, and there was a fierce light on his face, as if he would kill anyone who owed him money. As for the 2nd sect elder, he was very handsome. It was said that he was in his 60s after reincarnating. However, he looked like he was only in his 30s, and he was a typical gigolo. There was another rumor that Ling Xiao heard from Chen Wan. The 2nd sect elder was a womanizer when he was young, and he was still the same now. With his handsome face, he had cheated many women in the Jianghu. He was really a demon, and it was despicable. The 1st sect elder was actually a woman, and a middle-aged woman at that. Her swaying body gave her quite a bit of charm. It could be seen that she was also a femme fatale when she was young, who had seduced many good men and women. This person's aura was very deep, and Ling Xiao could not see through it at all. Moreover, this woman had a demonic aura. She was probably not human, but a real demon. The 3 of you are really arrogant. It seems that even I, as the sect leader, can invite you. Chen Bai suddenly said coldly. The 3 sect elders were about to sit down when they heard this. Their faces turned cold. In the past, Chen Bai would never have done this. However, today, Bai had flipped out. What was he doing? Was it because of Ling Xiao? The second sect elder suddenly looked at Bai and said, "Sect leader, what are you doing? Are you blaming me?" The first sect elder also said, coldly, "I heard that sect leader forced third brother to apologize to that kid. As his elder sister, I have to seek justice for him. Sect leader, you must hand that kid over to us today. Are you threatening me?" The corner of Bai's mouth curled up into a sneer. "Whatever you think, sect leader." The first sect elder smiled faintly. "Is that so?" Bai's body suddenly flashed. Chapter 27:13. Bai returned to his seat as if he hadn't moved at all. As for the three clan elders, each of them had a bright red palm print on their faces. "Sect leader, you." The three elders didn't look too good. They were very shocked. All this while they thought that their strength was close to Bai's level, even if it wasn't. Especially the first elder. He even thought that he could fight on par with Bai. But this slap had completely destroyed their confidence. Bai was too strong. It was so easy to leave 3 slaps on their faces. This terrifying strength was too shocking. These 3 slaps are to tell you who the real master of the dragon cult is. Don't forget it. Sitting there, Bai stared coldly at the 3 elders and said, the situation was very awkward. The 3 elders were completely embarrassed, but they didn't dare to say anything. It was very embarrassing. At this moment, a man and a woman suddenly appeared. It was a man and a woman. The man was handsome and carefree, and he had some of Bai's style. The woman was extraordinary. Although she wasn't as beautiful as the Moon Lady, she was also a peerless beauty. These 2 people were the 2 vice sect leaders of the dragon cult. They were also Bai's sworn siblings. That woman was once Bai's true love, but she was later stolen by that man. Bai was in so much pain that he wanted to die, but he was too emotional. Besides, he wasn't married to that woman, so he didn't do anything. He just silently endured the pain of his heart being torn. He licked his wounds alone. "Big brother, I think these 3 elders were just confused for a moment. They wouldn't dare to disrespect you." After the man arrived, he said with a smile, "Judging from his appearance, this person was indeed more outstanding than Bai. Even his strength didn't seem to be much worse than Bai's. But it seemed a little difficult to steal someone's love with just that. That's right, big brother. Just spare them. We're all family. Don't fight among yourselves." The woman walked to Bai's side and exhaled a fragrant breath as she spoke. Her personality seemed to be somewhat cold, but her concern for Bai did not seem to be fake. This made Ling Xiao somewhat unable to see through. She clearly cared about Bai, and her eyes were full of love. How could she be with another man and make Bai suffer? Ling Xiao felt a headache coming on. When it came to matters of the heart, he could never see through it. "Forget it. I won't think too much about it." At this moment, Bai's emotions seemed to fluctuate slightly. It could be seen that he still loved that woman deeply. At this time, he had to try his best to control his emotions and not let himself lose control. "Since the 2 vice sect leaders have interceded, I will spare you today. However, I hope that you will remember who is in charge of the dragon cult. Have a seat." Bai did not intend to do anything to the 3 sect leaders. He only wanted to scare them off. Now that he had achieved his goal, there was no need to continue. Then he said to Ling Xiao, "These 2 are my brother and sister. Phoenix in the Cloud and Xiaomiu are also the 2 vice sect leaders of the dragon cult." Bai's attitude towards the 2 sworn siblings was as good as ever. "Wait, big brother, what did you say? You want to take this kid as your disciple?" Phoenix in the Cloud suddenly frowned and looked at Bai. "That's right. I haven't taken in a disciple for many years. However, I like this kid very much. This time I brought him back to take him in as my disciple." Bai nodded and said. Hearing this, the crowd began to discuss among themselves. Although they should not stop the sect leader from taking in a disciple, this was too sudden. Moreover, if he wanted to take in a disciple, then so be it. Why did he make it so grand and gather all the higher-ups? Big brother, your joke is not funny at all. Although this young man looks smart, his cultivation is only at the peak of the 9th level of hell of the Inyan realm. With such a cultivation, he would only be an inferior disciple in our dragon cult. Aren't you afraid that the other disciples will be unhappy if you take him in as your last disciple? Phoenix in the cloud frowned and said, obviously he had heard of Ling Zhao's prowess and was afraid that Chun Bai would really take in an outstanding disciple. This would be a very unstable factor in his plan. He had to try his best to avoid it. Big brother, do you look like you're joking? Chun Bai used to talk about brotherhood, but now he felt that he should fight for something for himself. His woman was already taken by his brother. Why couldn't he take in a disciple? Phoenix in the cloud's doubts made him very unhappy, and his face gradually darkened. However, Phoenix in the cloud did not seem to care about Chun Bai's unhappiness. He smiled and said, I've heard of this young man Ling Xiao. He's really good. However, he's not a disciple of the dragon cult. Moreover, his aptitude is really unflattering. If Big Brother wants to take in a disciple, I can give my disciple to you. Enough. I've already made up my mind. There's no need to say anything more. If you two still treat me as your sect leader, then sit down. Chun Bai's voice was already filled with dense killing intent. Phoenix in the cloud sighed in his heart. He knew that it was impossible to forcefully dissuade him. However, what could a mere Ling Xiao do even if he became the sect leader's last disciple? He would have to suffer a lot in the future. He sneered in his heart and sat down. My good disciple, come and greet the higher-ups, especially my sworn brother and sister and the 3 elders. They're all meritorious people of the dragon cult. You must show them enough respect in the future. Chun Bai naturally knew how to say such polite words. Ling Xiao stood up and saluted the 2 vice sect leaders, the 3 sect elders, and all the higher-ups. Junior is not talented, but Master has taken a fancy to me and accepted me as a disciple. I hope that seniors will take care of me in the future. After he finished speaking, he sat down. The situation was very clear now. Most of the higher-ups were neutral. They had no ill intentions towards him, but they did not have good intentions either. The 3 elders and the 2 deputy sect leaders obviously did not like him. Judging from his attitude, they did not want to talk to him. Since that was the case, why should he be polite to them? All right, from today onwards, Ling Xiao is my closed-door disciple. All of you should know how to treat him, right? Now, let's adjourn. The reason Chun Bai had gathered so many people was to give Ling Xiao a proper status. This was to prevent people from saying that they didn't know and purposely causing trouble for Ling Xiao. Sect leader, there's something I don't understand. May I ask? The first elder suddenly stood up and said, What is it? Chun Bai frowned. He thought that the first elder had already been intimidated by him. Now that he spoke again, it was most likely Phoenix in the cloud who asked him to do so. Fine, ask away. He did not accept Ling Xiao as his disciple because there was no dirty deal. He was not afraid of people asking. Sect leader, this person said that his name is Ling Xiao. But from what I know, Ling Xiao has been in the limelight recently. Is this kid really Ling Xiao?